got it, buddy! Good job, Boo Bear!
Propeller tail.
It's a propeller tail. He doesn't usually do that.
Oh, now it's all wet.
Good job, Bubba. You got it, buddy. What a good Boo Bear. What a good Boo Bear. You're my beautiful baby, Bubba Bear. You're my beautiful baby. You gonna bring it all the way up? You gonna bring it all the way up here? Come on, all the way. All the way. What a good boy. What a good Boo Bear.
Take a piss. Time for another round. Oh, don't roll in that water. Other doggies pee over there.
All right, ready to go down to the next one? Ready to go down to the next one? Woo-sha, sha, sha. Woo-sha, sha, sha. Woo-sha, sha, sha.
Careful, there is somebody fishing right down there by the next one.
This trail?
I think we're okay, yeah. Just gotta watch out for the fisher dude. How you doing, Boo? Huh? Good swim? Good swim? Yeah?
I got the ball.
Come on, we got a ball, let's
I
go.
got the ball.
That did not look like a limpy dog, but hopefully he won't jump too much and hurt himself in the process. It's the after effects that bother me. You're never sore during the football game, just afterwards.
There's a wire over there. See the wire netting right there? Right at the base of the tree right there. The wire netting, you can't see it?
I can't, no. Is it out in the water? Oh yeah, maybe they're trying to protect something going in that hole. Like animals or something. Girl, where you going?
Pay attention.
Yep. Yep. Oh, now with the ground cover, it makes it hard to see. Sure.
Ready?
No, you guys, I got video.
Ready, go? Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. What a funny doggo. Good job, Bubba. Good job, Bubba. What a good Boo Bear. What a good Boo Bear. Come on, Bubba, all the way up here. Come on, all the way up here. Come on, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up.
Aren't those just the most beautiful babies you ever seen? Aren't they? I love them so much. You have no idea how much I love them. Okay, hi everybody. My name's Mike, and this is my YouTube page, Mox News. And welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie. And I was off getting the dog crunchies and stuff before I started the show, so I wanted to make sure that, that's a priority. At any rate, I have many videos for you today. Many videos, including gun control. Oh, napalm cannabis. You see that? Napalm cannabis. Very controversial. Portland police tactics reform, jailing, racism, Palestinian aid. It's my favorite thing that Biden has done, probably ever in his life. Let's see, newspaper man. Oh, the newspaper man. I played a little bit of that story last week about the newspaper man that was delivering papers And Ed Troyer, who's a local sheriff, called the police on him, a black man, naturally, delivering papers, like 4 a.m. in the morning. He said that the black man threatened his life, which, I don't know what kind of ambient moment that the sheriff's having, but, I'm really hoping that he because people die this way. Okay, a sheriff calls and says there's a black man in my white neighborhood who just threatened my life. Okay, like 8 cop cars show up, right? I mean, this is exactly the way people die from police all the time. So I have that video for you coming up. Does it sound okay? I didn't get a proper sound check earlier. Does it sound okay, everybody? Can you tell me, please? And this is a call-in show. If anybody wants to talk about gun control or whatever you'd like to talk about, we can do that. Because it's your dime, and I'm very open-minded. Anybody? Hello, Bueller. Does it sound okay? Does it sound okay? Anybody? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 I'm just wondering. Because I don't have any other way to test it. And the microphone and the OBS have a tendency to go all chipmunky on me. And nobody's responding to me. So I don't know what's happening. Hello? Is it sound okay? Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get a nice fat dab ready because I am just about ready for a nice fat dab, and I probably could bet that an awful lot of you feel the same way. So I'm going to get that ready. Like I said, I have numerous stories. There's a lot to get to. I'm not sure exactly where to start just yet. One of the stories that's going around today is they're talking about how Matt Gaetz tried to get Trump to give him a blanket pardon, right? And Trump said that's not true. But the thing about this is that, again, I told you guys this is about him standing up against Liz Cheney, right? I told you this in the past, last week, I would think. And in this story that I have, they actually talk about him speaking out against Liz Cheney. Again, Liz Cheney being the single sitting member of Congress who has profiteered more from the events of 9/11 than any other single sitting member of Congress, and possibly any other sitting member of Congress since the 9/11. So that's who Liz Cheney is. Anybody who wants to speak out against Liz Cheney, especially on those terms. If you guys don't understand what I'm saying, Halliburton, I believe that's the Dick Cheney company, Halliburton, they have made so much money off this war, right? Off the wars, off Afghanistan, off Iraq, off every single war. And Liz Cheney, every single chance she gets to vote to continue the wars, she votes to continue the wars. Every single chance she gets to vote to expand the Pentagon budget, she votes to expand the Pentagon budget. And every single time a child dies in the Middle East, Liz Cheney makes money off of it. That's what kind of scumbag Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney and their whole family are. And I hope they have to spend the rest of their lives in prison, and that every single asset they have is seized by the government, so that their families will have to live destitute and in shame, because that's exactly what any member of Dick Cheney's family deserves. Okay? So we're clear, in case anybody was wondering where I stand on the matter. And again, I have this story about Gaetz, and they're talking about how, he was looking for a pardon from Trump, right? Which Trump said was not true, again. It's weird because in the story, the dickhole people, the commentators that are talking, say something about how Trump was handing out pardons to everybody, and Matt Gaetz was like, "Hey, can I get a pardon too?" But the thing is Trump handed out, let me see, anybody can do this, right? You Google presidential pardons, right? PRESIDENTIAL. PARDONS, right? Type in presidential pardons, and then it says, presidential pardon. Where did it say list of presidential pardon? List, there we go. Okay. Oh, God damn it. Okay, here we go. Trump gave out 237 presidential pardons, okay? Barack Obama gave out 1,927 pardons. So, yeah, Trump was handing out pardons to everybody, right? Barack Obama, 1,927 pardons. Donald Trump, 237 pardons. So when you hear this bullshit about, Donald Trump's giving pardons out to everybody, just remember, who his predecessor is. And I'm no Donald Trump fan. At all. You guys notice when he says, Matt Gaetz didn't ask me for a pardon, I figure, it's coming from a well-known liar, right? So I don't care much what he says. But I do love the facts. And the facts state Donald Trump gave away 237 presidential pardons, and Barack Obama gave away 1,937 presidential pardons. So whoever was handing out the pardons willy-nilly, it doesn't really sound like Donald Trump. So it sounds like he was kind of careful about who he gave the pardons to. Okay, so I have those videos. I'm waiting for a phone caller. Oh, I don't have the damn phone up here. Okay, so I'm going to play a video for you now, and I'll go get the damn phone and plug it in. Let's see. We will play the video about Matt Gaetz' pardon-seeking ability, and I'll be right back with the phone, and we can do that then, hopefully, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But we'll see.
Embattled Congressman Matt Gaetz is now getting a boost from former President Trump, who just released a statement insisting they never discussed a preemptive pardon. Gaetz is fending off a federal sex trafficking investigation and allegations he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl. CNN congressional correspondent Ryan Nobles has the latest.
Tonight, embattled Congressman Matt Gaetz in search of support and getting a returned favor from the man he spent years defending and praising.
President Trump sometimes raises his voice and a ruckus. He knows that's what it takes to raise an army of patriots who love America and will protect her.
Former President Donald Trump weighing in publicly for the first time on the scandal surrounding one of his most loyal allies on Capitol Hill. Trump responding to reports confirmed by CNN that the Florida congressman approached allies to the president requesting a preemptive blanket pardon for himself before Trump left the White House. Trump today denying Gaetz ever asked him personally for a pardon, and then saying, quote, "It must be remembered that he has totally denied the accusations against him."
It is a horrible allegation, and it is a lie.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
In his short time in Washington, the Florida congressman has gone out of his way to attach himself to Trump, as demonstrated in the 2020 HBO documentary, The Swamp.
Hey, Mr. President, it's Matt Gaetz. I don't need anything, sir. Just calling to tell you did a great job today. Don't let these people get you down. We're going to keep fighting for you with all we got.
Gaetz defending Trump, even when some Republicans were unwilling.
My fellow patriots, don't be shy and don't be sorry. Join me as we proudly represent the pro-Trump America First wing of the conservative movement. Madam Speaker,
Gaetz went to the House floor after the deadly insurrection and claimed without evidence that it was groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa to blame for the violence, not Trump.
this morning, President Trump explicitly called for demonstrations and protests to be peaceful. He was far more, you can moan and groan, but he was far more explicit about his calls for peace than some of the BLM and left-wing rioters were this summer when we saw violence sweep across this nation.
During the former president's first impeachment inquiry, Gaetz and a group of House Republicans busted into a secure meeting in an attempt to reveal classified information about the investigation into Trump's conduct.
If behind those doors they intend to overturn the results of an American presidential election, we want to know what's going on. And it's only reasonable that we would have questions.
He has also battled his fellow Republicans, those he deems not loyal enough to the Trump MAGA movement. Gaetz traveled to Wyoming to attack fellow GOP Representative Liz Cheney, who voted to impeach Trump after the insurrection.
You can send a representative who actually represents you, and you can send Liz Cheney home, back home to Washington, D.C.
And while former President Trump is offering Gaetz a modicum of support, it is far from enthusiastic. In fact, sources tell CNN that the former president is being advised to stay away from the Gaetz scandal. Meanwhile, the congressman showing no signs of backing away. He has sent out multiple fundraising appeals based on this scandal. And Wolf is expected to reappear in public for the first time on Friday, speaking at a summit that will be held, of course, at Trump National Golf Course in Doral, Florida. Wolf.
Ryan Nobles with the latest from Capitol Hill. Thanks very much. Let's get some analysis from our senior legal analyst.
Okay, so no one cares what those people think. At least I don't. And that guy was the one who was talking about, the guy who came in at the end, he was the one that was talking about Trump giving away pardons willy-nilly to everybody who wanted one. Again, Trump gave away 237 pardons, and Barack Obama gave away 1,927 pardons. So, and again, I'm no Trump fan. You guys know this. I mean, they say he says he didn't do it. I consider whatever he says to be a lie. But you know, these other people are worse. You know, I mean, Trump is like lie, lie, lie. But these people are supposed to be informing you, and then Trump isn't supposed to be informing you. Trump is just a fucking pathological liar. You know. But he doesn't seem as bad as these people. Again, in that story, for absolutely no reason, that story about Matt Gaetz sex trafficking a 17-year-old girl and using drugs, apparently, with the girl, they don't. I wouldn't think on top of that they need to mention that he campaigned against Liz Cheney, but clearly they made that part of the story. As I told you before, this is all about him fucking with Liz Cheney. Otherwise, why would they make it part of the story, right? They're fucking morons. All right, I'm feeling much better now. Okay, so we can cross that one off. Again, I don't give a fuck what those other people had to say, but I just wanted to point out as far as the Matt Gaetz pardon thing goes, also the thing about Trump giving out pardons willy-nilly. Basically, Barack Obama gave out a little more than 8 times as many pardons. 8 times as many pardons as Donald Trump gave out. So somebody was giving them out willy-nilly. I also have a story by Kennedy about Chase Bank is issuing a card, a Visa MasterCard, that you can now use with crypto. So you can attach your crypto to it and spend that way, which I think is going to jump the market. I think it's going to make the market go, ooh, And there's a couple other things going on that are interesting. Something about Coinbase going to make an IPO next week, something like that. I think the crypto is going to go a little crazy in the next 10 days, if anybody's wondering. I can play that story for you. I do have a phone now. I have the proper phone. The telephone number is 805-669-6397. If you want, I can play the Biden gun control laws, executive signing, whatever, that's going to happen tomorrow. I can inform you. I can play that video and kind of let you know. We can kind of all get on the same page, that is, as to what's happening with the executive order on the gun control. You guys want me to do that? Should I do that now? Okay, I'll do that now, and then I'll be right back, and we can have a discussion about it. Okay, the number's there on the screen. So clip, no, that's not it. Oh yeah, clip number 7. We'll play that now.
I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future, and to urge my colleagues in the House and Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons, and it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again.
Interesting. President Biden last month following the mass shootings in Boulder, Colorado. Tomorrow, he is expected to announce his first executive actions on gun control. But we already hear what some of them are. And they will fall short of the sweeping actions he promised as a candidate. But one of the big reasons for that is he can't do it alone. He can't do it by executive action, or at least he shouldn't. Phil Mattingly joins us now. When you look at what we're hearing is going to happen, what stands out to you in terms of what he will do and what he can't do?
Yeah, a couple key points in terms of what the president's going to announce in the Rose Garden tomorrow with Justice Department Attorney General Merrick Garland standing next to him. And the first and probably most important one is personnel is policy. I think everybody knows that. And the president will announce the nominee to run the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. This is a crucial post. And who he's nominating in David Chipman is, one, a former ATF special agent, but two, somebody who is a key player in a gun control group started by Gabby Giffords, obviously the former Democratic Congresswoman who survived an assassination attempt back in 2011. He is unapologetically for tighter restrictions on guns. That is a key post, particularly because it hasn't been filled in more than 6 years, often very difficult to confirm those nominees for that post. Now, on the policy side of things, you get to see some of the limits that the Biden administration is running up against. In the policy prescriptions that the president will lay out tomorrow, a couple things. One, asking the Justice Department to promulgate rules regarding so-called ghost guns. These are basically guns that can be put together piece by piece and don't have a serial number. The administration has become very concerned about the proliferation of those guns. Also, stabilization braces, something you can put on a pistol to help with accuracy and stabilization. It was something that was used in the shooting that we saw in Boulder, Colorado. Moving funds to really invest in communities where violence is a major problem is a key piece of this. And also, the Justice Department will be crafting what they consider kind of a guidepost for so-called red flag laws. It won't be implementing red flag laws, but it'll be something for states to look at as they seek to impose red flag laws. But administration officials, Chris, making clear, this is the first step. They want to do more unilaterally, but as you noted, there's only so much they can do without Congress.
Sure, people say it's not enough. Yeah, but at least it's a start, and we'll see how much of it he actually gets to make an impact with. Phil Mattingly, thank you very much for giving us the heads up on this. All right. Now, as I said earlier in the show, there are many people on the right, specifically the Trumpy fringe, who want you to pretend that as we mark 3 months since the insurrection and the infamy of January 6th, wasn't that big a deal.
Okay, so you see how it said the first limited steps, as if there's going to be bigger steps coming up. These are very limited steps. You know, these people are just not right in the head. Joe Biden, you know why they're doing limited steps? Because if they did any kind of big major steps, I mean, what did it say? Like something you can't have like a shoulder boost for fucking handguns anymore or something like that. Joe Biden is a twat. And if they did any bigger gun controls, I mean, I got to find a better word for him than that. You know, he doesn't seem to get what's happening, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious. Hello, caller.
Hello.
What's up?
How are you? It's Psyops.
Hey, nice to hear from you. How's it going?
I'll be in a calm mood this evening. I'm smoking a nice couple joints.
Lucky.
Well, yeah. I see you on the bong there. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's called a dab rig, but yeah, it's a bong.
Yeah. I hear you say that. So I'm I don't know. I'm just turning it down here. I'm seeing the news story there today. I looked at some of the news to check out the title of your video here, and I read about it. Then I just watched the clip with the news you had, and the guy saying limited steps, and at least it's something, a start. So that to me, that's just theater. Reminds me of the Iron Man when he was going. There's a whole lot of theater, lots of pageantry. Because I'm from a different place, but I know I heard about these kind of arguments over the years. And this kind of issue arises from time to time. So years ago, I looked up something in the United States Code, Section 241 and 242, and I'm not giving legal advice, nor do I know much about it, maybe. But apparently, it's a criminal offense to try and take away the guns from Americans, or even try to figure out ways to manipulate the laws to take them away from them.
Yeah.
So when I watched this news report and studied it, what I see is just like they're going around it,
right,
but not really touching it.
Right.
And that way they're avoiding some real big issues that they're still trying to work their way in. You know what I mean? Creepy, crawly,
right,
tiptoe.
Yeah, it's like when Trump signed the executive order on bump stocks. It's not like no serious gun collector has bump stocks. I mean, it's not like a thing. This is for people who consider guns toys.
Yeah, these are extreme or outlying kind of issues. Those issues they talk about.
Yeah.
Issues. It's all I don't know. It's all just I see it. I'm trying to write some stuff in like a book, really, but I try to explain it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons for a first-level magic user. Basically, the only thing that's being used is confusion and glamour. They're walking on red carpets. They got the magic and the lights and the whistles and everything, right? And just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo talk, and the audience doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I think the vast majority of the audience gets lost in the glamour and what was the other word you used?
Yeah.
Glamour and what?
Confusion.
Glamour and confusion. I mean, that's basically the idea behind all the information today. It's like, oh, look at this big story. Look at this big story. Oh, and by the way, so we all on the same page. You guys remember me back in October, November, saying by April, May that the COVID-19 is no longer going to be a top of the news story. If you look at the news today, I'm talking about the mainstream media, national news, what you will find is that the COVID-19 is no longer top of the news story. And
well, good, because today, I don't know, because it's in different locations. That's what I'm noticing.
I'm talking about the national news. That's not different locations.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
but okay, for your location maybe, but then other locations, yes, too. I saw a news report from the States today talking about how Nicaragua doesn't have any restrictions or lockdown, or Thailand doesn't have any, or whatever, Sweden maybe. But today they just announced lockdowns everywhere for the next 4 weeks or something, and stay at home and all this because the guy's panicking. And I'm going, what the heck's going on? Nothing, I don't know. It's a mess. And I'm really worried about some kind of things.
Hey, look, man. Again, this is it's going away. I said this since October. I said April, May.
Yeah.
This is going to become a non-story. And again, back in October, the reason I said this was because if Joe, it was November. He had already won the presidency, so it was November. I said, if Biden doesn't have this thing under control before the end of May, then he's going to have a failed presidency. So, considering that maybe this is a big, huge psyop to start with, then it's easy for him to get it under control and say, yeah, okay, it's all good, because he's already said we're going to get back to normal by July. So, fuck. I mean, May will just be like, oh, look at this, we're ahead of schedule. I'm a great president, aren't I? I'm the greatest president ever.
Yep, cult of personality, all about the image, all that kind of deal. Oh, and I remembered the other day, you said the other show I mentioned, it was Big Bang Theory. I think you said your dad used to watch it.
Oh, I don't. I know what show it's a comedy show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch it, but I know what.
No, I think you said your dad watched it or something.
No, there was somebody mentioned that. I don't know. Was it you that mentioned another TV show? It was an older TV show.
Get Smart. I was talking about.
Yeah, no, but there was another show that you mentioned. It wasn't Get Smart, and it wasn't whatever the last one you said. There was another one you mentioned. I didn't go back and look at it, but Columbo. That was it.
Oh, Columbo.
I think that was my dad's favorite TV show. Columbo.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Columbo for sure.
That was a lot of people's favorite.
Yeah, and I want to start watching them. They pop up on my YouTube recommendations from time to time.
Right on. I only get weed videos and kung fu movies. That's all it pops up is kung fu movies and how to grow marijuana.
Awesome kung fu movies.
Oh, yeah, there's so many. If you guys go if you like kung fu movies, go type it into fucking the search bar at YouTube, and you'll find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fucking kung fu movies.
I know. I just watched Fist of Fury yesterday with Bruce Lee again.
Right on.
I don't know, dozens times or more in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know about this stuff. Yeah, thanks for. Because that's something to look forward to if it's going to be over. Because up here, I heard in November, some reports that by summer of this year, we're going to be in Chinese prison camps up here. So somebody's trying to, whether or not there's things are real, I know I hear things and people are trying to panic other people, or people are trying to mess around.
Well, they're not, hey, they're not prison camps, they're re-education camps. Okay? So we have to make sure people aren't saying things like the COVID-19 is not real or the vaccine isn't tested. You can't say things like that. You're going to cause a public panic. You can't have them questioning the events of 9/11 or that the Iraq War was based on lies. How can you do this? We have to fix your brain. Obviously, there's something wrong with you. So, that's what it is I see coming.
I want to rewrite all of basically human history in the factual sense, based upon legitimate research, and then I want to throw away all the conspiracy theory crap and find out whether or not. See, my point is whether or not PSYOP, whether or not 9/11 was real, people can't figure it out for themselves. That's why they've been misled. That's why there's all these conspiracy theories. That's why there was the let it happen and the made it happen and the. Because the basic science they can't do in their head, and that's I don't know. I take another road too. Like when I make a
it's not the basic science they can't do in their head. It's that over and over and over and over again they're misinformed about what happens, as if that's exactly the facts, and there's no room for any questioning anything.
No, and you know what I've heard too is like I read comments for years and years. I'll just read comments, and I stopped trying to comment myself now. But a lot of people, if something like that was to happen, the thing that I got is a lot of people were dwelling on how so many people could be involved. That is a major issue if I'm trying to decipher something or figure it out. Is if there was a group of people involved, what they were, the who, what, where, when, and how. This goes back to like Columbo trying to solve a case, right?
It's not that high. It's not that hard to disappear people, right? I mean, the SEAL Team 6 all died in a helicopter crash, right?
Yeah. You want to know what I make the joke sometimes that I say everybody's been had it, and in my occult studies, this might not be relevant, but it's just something for entertainment purposes or a quite interesting perception. Binah is the third Sephiroth on the Jewish Kabbalah, and it represents the planet Saturn, and it controls understanding in space and time, and the word laden means to hold back. So if I wanted to play occult games, I could say that the word Binah laden means is an operation hold back understanding in space and time, basically play 52 conspiracy pickup and fuck everybody around for 20 years.
Yeah, well, that's easy to understand too, because that seems to be what they've done for at least the last 20 years.
Thank you.
It's really stepped way up in the last 20 years at the very least.
Yeah, I think that if I had a speculation, and I consider the possibility of maybe I'm writing a fictional story in a parallel timeline where Marty McFly broke off from the timeline and Biff's in control or something. So in my timeline, if there was a place called the Fraternitas Saturni, which was a Nazi skull and bones kind of cult, they wore a skull and bones. I'm not making any references, but just it's coincidental that there might be a number 322, and the number C, or the letter C is a 3, and the V is a 22, and the 19 was the 19th anniversary of 9/11, and now we're at the 20th anniversary. But I'm just making connections that the kids sometimes make with their Illuminati confirmed stuff on the internet, but whether or not I'm right, it makes some good fictional storytelling.
Yeah, I kind of, like I said, I'm a really big fan of the facts, you know, and one of the things, you know, that's I mean, a fact is that one of the most secure buildings on the planet, where they have the SEC and the FEC and the CIA all have fucking a floor of their own, if not multiple floors. That building doesn't just fall straight down into its fucking own footprint. Okay, from a couple of small fires, let alone some giant fires. It doesn't happen, because if giant fires happened on one of these things and it fell down, and it would kill a bunch of people, you know, innocent bystanders. So they have to make sure that doesn't happen, you know? So again, I stick to the facts. I saw a fireman, talking about how it looked like a controlled demolition. Boom, 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 boom. This is on the day of what happened, you know? So you see a fireman, and he's just talking spontaneously and saying shit like that, you know. Again, that's the facts, the way he saw it.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so I don't need to play number games and cult games.
No, I did. They're not exactly games, but I did say speculation, and I do agree with you 100%. I have two versions of my research, and one is no gods, no ghosts, no aliens, no magic, no nothing. It's all facts. And it has to be like Car 54, where are you, just the facts, ma'am, or Columbo, just one more thing. And the other one is I have a little chapter that I put on an appendix at the side or something, where I put all these little speculative ideas. And if I can find any factual references, then I'll include it. But I keep that actually separate. And I'm more interested in, like you're saying, I was making a joke years ago about selling a PSYOP sweater, so you too could have the feeling of pulling your wool over your own eyes.
Hey, that's a good idea. You should start selling that, dude.
Yeah, man. If you can help me out, you can have, I'll give you 80% of the profits, because I don't know what to do here to start.
All right, well,
stuff.
I'll tell Craig 80% of the profits, and his eyes will get all
I'm not
big.
joking.
So. I'm not a money guy. I don't think about that at all. That's not a motivating force for me. You put a Playboy bunny on my lap, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying too. A private island, a nice little place to go.
I don't need a private island. I just need the hot chick sitting on my lap, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm a very simple guy.
No, that's okay. Yeah, me too. I got a cart with some camping equipment on it, and I'm going to try to ride a bike out of here across the country or something.
Right on. Well, that sounds like fun.
And,
you should get started on that book, though.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. I'm working on it hard. I was trying to do the bibliography for about 6 hours today, because that's probably the most important part. I got to kind of write it backwards. Bibliography and then an abstract. And
oh, good. You're working on it. That's great, dude.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying. It's been a challenge to get at it for years, but yeah. And to go on about what you're saying a minute ago is, I agree with the science there. I made up a joke too. Gas for your stove also stands for GFYS. Go fuck yourselves. But there's no joke there. But the gas, when you burn a steel pot on a blue flame on a gas stove, it doesn't melt the pot, and the stove doesn't melt into a pile that's like 4 inches high on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with all of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You know, you can't smack. I saw the one guy, the scientist guy, trying to smack a steel anvil with an aluminum pipe. And, you know, I can use a Bic lighter that's about the size of an airplane with the fuel in the wings, and I throw it at myself if I'm a building. It's not going to, you know, a swimming pool full of fire, fuel is not going to do nothing. I hear all the stories. I heard the stories, oh, the building's made of all glass, and the beams didn't melt, they just turned
So what you're saying is if a seagull flew into it, it would have fell down too.
Yeah, yeah, everything. Like the elevator. Yesterday, I saw somebody made a comment. They had the balls to make a comment about their friend was there in an elevator and the cables melted and snapped and they fell 210 stories.
You know, everybody, and I'm going to tell you something. Anytime anybody says I was there or somebody I know was there, you say, we were all there, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, fuck yeah. Holy shit, that's a good one. Yeah, totally. Sorry for swearing there, but 100%, that smacked me in the face. That's a good one.
Yeah.
100%. We are all still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It affected the whole planet. Wow.
All right, Si, I'm going to go play a video, so thanks a lot for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you take care.
Okay, keep working on that book.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll stay tuned and give you a thumbs up.
I'll tell Craig about the sweater.
Awesome. And I got lots more ideas, and I'm not joking.
I bet you do.
Take care.
Okay, see ya. Okay, that's Psyop, and he's been a regular viewer for a long, long time. So, if anybody else wants to call, the number's right there on the screen, 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. I have a little video here I wanted to play about jellyfish. It seems like a strange video to me. It's like, oh, look how beautiful the jellyfish are. But the jellyfish are like basically gonna kill everything in the ocean because we're not doing anything about the jellyfish and they're completely out of control. And it seemed like a very strange video to me. Oh, the beautiful jellyfish are washing up on the shore. It's so pretty. Yeah, you ever have to walk all around fucking jellyfish all over the shore? It's not pretty. Let me guarantee you that.
A new study suggests that one animal that might actually benefit from climate change is the jellyfish. A report published by the American Geophysical Union says that every year on the West Coast, many jellyfish wash onto the shore. One study published in the Marine Ecology Progress series says this could be because of warmer ocean water and because jellyfish have more to eat on the shore in warmer weather. The study also suggests as climate change warms oceans, cases of jellyfish coming to shore might become more common. So I don't know about jellyfish here in the Pacific Northwest. Do we have it? Do they come to shore here? I don't know.
I think they do. They are such unique creatures, aren't they? All their colors and forms. It's going to be a mild day today.
Purple sunsets, yellow moons, green clovers, multicolored jellyfish, rainbow-colored jellyfish. Again, I find that story some kind of like misinformation, brainwashing. Oh, look how beautiful. We're so lucky to have these jellyfish. I don't know if you guys have seen the stories where there's just giant fucking schools of jellyfish. Like giant, and they eat everything in their fucking path. And it doesn't look good. And it's really odd the way these people framed that story. So if you'd like to talk about that or the upcoming executive orders on gun control, lines are open now. The telephone number is 805-669-6397. And it's always good to talk. We can talk about whatever you like. How about I play the video? You want to see the video on infrastructure spending? I've talked about infrastructure spending for a long, long time. It's probably one of the most important things that we can possibly do, other than mental health care and basic health care for every American. And the simple understanding for me of basic health care for every single American is it's a matter of national security, right? Because the healthier a nation is, the more secure it is, right? But even more so with the mental health care. It's even more important than just everyone getting health care. The mental health care being addressed, being a matter of national security. You see these like mass shootings happening everywhere, and it's obvious that the people that are being blamed for them are completely fucked up individuals. And there's absolutely no one addressing this. And by fucked up, I mean their head is all fucked up. They have incredible mental, they're mentally unstable. And there's absolutely no one for them to talk to help, to say, hey, are you doing okay? I'm here for you. We'll get through this, because people who do this are pretty much at their wits' end. They got nothing left. And again, nobody's talking to them. So, but the reason I bring that up when I'm talking about infrastructure spending is because there's something in here about healthcare, there's other things in here, and they're talking about a $2 trillion infrastructure bill, spending bill, right? $2 trillion, which I've said again and again, we need $100 trillion infrastructure plan. But his $2 trillion infrastructure plan, only about $800 billion of it is going to go to infrastructure, which is at best, at the very, very best, it's a fucking shitty, diseased, pulled out of the trash can fucking Band-Aid. Here you'll have to do with this. And he's talking about it's going to create so many new jobs. It's not going to create new jobs. Not going to do that. The infrastructure project I'm talking about will create big, new, good-paying jobs. Lots of them. Millions and millions of them back and forth across the United States, every corner of the United States. The infrastructure project he's talking about is, again, a Band-Aid that's not going to create any kind of jobs at all. The infrastructure I'm talking about, he's talking about putting a Band-Aid onto a 20th century infrastructure. It's not a 19th century infrastructure. What I'm talking about is building a whole new infrastructure to leave to the people who are coming after us so that they can have the best infrastructure in the world to build the best economy in the world. But I guess the billionaires would much rather do business in China, who is blowing us away when it comes to infrastructure. Hello, caller.
Hey, Max, how's it going?
Going okay. How about you?
Not too shabby, man. Springtime, brother. It's getting nice.
It's in the air for sure.
Yeah, flowers are blooming and birds are singing.
All right, let me ask you a question about that. Do you watch TV at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah. For the last couple days, I've been saying that I just recently realized that we're at the height of pollen season, we're at the height of allergy season, and I can't see any Claritin commercials on TV, which generally at the height of pollen season, every other commercial break there'd be like Claritin, Claritin, Claritin. But yeah. I don't see those ads anywhere, and I'd like to talk to somebody else who watches TV and gets what I'm saying. Go ahead.
I do understand what you're saying about the commercials. When I do pop in, I don't watch TV as a rule, but I do try to pay attention to who's paying for ads on what networks. And like if I'm watching like football games, right? I'll watch a football game once in a while. I listen to the ads on the radio is different than the television. Mm-hmm. So if we have local radio here and we have local television and then we have network television, those, they're predominantly insurance ads or up here it's a lot of church, a lot of church paying ads, a lot of insurance, and a lot of generally the allergy medicine people. step in after everything blooms, because right now where we're at right now is that the flowers are just starting to come. It's this fresh, beautiful, non-allergenic season, but the allergenic season starts, after the dandelions and the goldenrod come out. And I don't know, it's a little later than right now. Right now is not generally what we would consider allergy season here in New York.
I've been feeling the pollen. A couple days ago, I mentioned that I was feeling the pollen, right? And I think part of the reason that we're not seeing the allergy commercials because I started sneezing. And generally, it hits me much earlier than this, so you know. But when I take my dog for a walk, he has to walk under every bush that he can. And there's like these bushes that look like pine trees, kind of, but they grow really low to the ground. And he walks under them. And as he walks under them, like a puff of like what looks like smoke comes out behind him, and it's all fucking pollen. So
yeah.
So all I'm saying is, in the past, every year that I don't remember last year, but every year before, every other commercial break this time of year would be a Claritin commercial. Every other commercial break, not every commercial break, but I mean, it's just this regular thing that's like, sneezy, watery eyes. And to me, the reason I'm going into detail like this is because when I started sneezing a couple days ago, my first thought was, oh shit, I got the Rona, right? But that's because of the programming, right? And I'm not seeing the allergy. I'm not seeing the allergy reminders on TV. So what I'm thinking is, right, that they don't want people thinking about it being allergy season. So every time you sneeze yourself, you think, oh, I better go get tested. Or the people that are around you are thinking, oh my God, he's got the Rona. He's gonna fucking kill us all, right? So. Because they're not seeing the allergy commercials that are reminding them, hey, it's hay fever season, people sneeze, don't forget, So I think this is a big deal, and I'm really surprised that I haven't found anybody to talk about it just yet.
I do, and I agree with you. I've been, and believe it or not, I've actually been following ever since, I think, way back when you first were talking about, hey, you watch and see until, just after this, we're in the spring of 2021, the whole Rona thing is not going to be a big deal anymore. And,
well, it's definitely not the top of the news. And I mean, it's not been this week top of the news at all. Go ahead.
Correct. That's exactly what you said. You said it won't be at the top of the news. In other words, this is going to drop down to a different cycle in the news.
Yeah.
And that's a very specific thing to say, and I understand. And I said, wow, that's good. I'm going to watch this because I think he's right. But I want to watch it. That's me. That's what I do is I study and watch these trends. And I said, wow, that's interesting. And sure enough, you're right. And I don't, have an answer as to why that is, but there's a lot of...
Well, they're going to say it's because of the George Floyd trial and Biden has so many things going on. But let me tell you about the George Floyd trial. The George Floyd trial is not nearly as important as, we're all going to die! We're all going to die! Because that's what the news has been for the last fucking year and a half. Okay?
Yeah. It's
I'm not saying the George Floyd trial is not important. I'm just saying it seems like we're all gonna die is a little bit more important than that,
Yeah, because like it wasn't very long ago that we were being told, holy shit, we're all going to die. And now it's like, oh, the Rona is not a big deal, and we really should be watching this trial. And I, like you, I don't want to diminish the importance of that trial. I do think it's a big trial. I think there is a transition in policing going on.
It looks like
I think they're trying to just, they're blanketing it in like I don't know. They know they have to do something, but it's reluctantly being done kind of thing. Whereas the Rona, I don't know, man. Oh my God, mine can do I can go to all kinds of places with that, because we've gotten into this age where I said it years ago. I said, oh my God, if you start teaching people genetic manipulation in college, well, now you no longer have control over this incredible weapon that you can't put back in the box. And, genetic manipulation is not a weapon you could put back in the box. And if they were so concerned about nuclear weapons, one of the things you can't learn at college in an open classroom is how to build a thermonuclear weapon, right? But apparently...
I mean, you can probably look it up online, though.
Oh, okay. You can look up online. Okay, well, I can't look up online how to build a thermonuclear weapon.
It doesn't mean you're going to understand it, but I bet you can look it up online.
Okay, so yeah, my only point is that compared to nuclear weapons, I've never really felt that I've never really felt that nuclear weapons and genetics were on the same playing field. I've always said, well, genetics is something you can do. There's a whole gamut of things you can do, and it's available to anybody who wants to go to college and has access to such equipment that they can, perform these kinds of things. And it can even be some guy by himself in a, And I said, so that's,
Well,
that's
you have to be able to handle things like that too. I mean, that takes some pretty specialized equipment, really.
Yeah, some specialized equipment, but not on the level of, like, say, refining uranium, right? To get weaponized uranium takes a little bit more of a
Well,
something.
no, but to handle a deadly virus takes a lot of security steps. Right?
Oh.
Isn't that what you're talking about?
Well, no, what I'm talking about is if a person learns genetics and biology and chemistry, they might be able to figure this shit out on their own and have a microscope and do it in their own lab in their own home. Like, I don't think the equipment that it takes to, say, genetically modify a plant with insect DNA, obviously, didn't take a lot of specialized equipment, and it's not something that we consider to be controlled.
No, but you're talking about it being a threat to people. So you're not talking about insect DNA being into a plant. That's not what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about, like, if I was to do a threat assessment for humanity, I've always thought that
Right, I get that part, but you're not explaining what part of the bio it is that's a threat to man.
Well, it could be natural and it could be man-made. That's the thing about the bio threat, is that it can come from many directions. So
what could be natural or what could be man-made?
All kinds of stuff, like the viruses. You have Ebola. You have military.
Okay, I was just talking about handling a deadly virus and that you need all kinds of security steps for that. And then you talk about fucking blending ant and plant DNA.
Yeah.
All right, that's not what we're talking about. You go from Ebola to some other thing. If you're creating an Ebola, then you have to have some major security steps, or you'll be dead before you're finished with the process.
As the creator of it, you mean?
Yes.
Or as oh, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah.
You're talking about a guy doing this in his garage, okay? That's not going to happen.
Yeah, he would need some kind of containment, yes, because you would obviously, you would need containment.
Yeah, it can't even make anthrax or anything like that. I mean, it's very, very dangerous stuff, and you have to have all kinds of security in front of you to be able to handle the shit. Otherwise, you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, I got to take a break.
Okay.
All right, it's good to hear from you. Keep your eyes and ears out open for those Claritin ads.
Yeah, we don't have any. You're right. There hasn't been any of the. I try to keep an eye on how much, allergy medicine and the other stuff that they sell at the local drugstores.
Mm.
And everything that I've heard is, I asked the lady. This is the question I asked the lady at the Dollar General, which sells the most drugs in our little town here. I said, is there a noticeable increase in the amount of people that are buying the flu medicines from last year to this year? And she said, no. I said, so it's the same amount? And she said, yeah, pretty much. And I said, well, but it didn't look like the same amount. So I have to kind of check that, but it doesn't look to me like there's no flu, right? Nobody has the flu. I don't hear people sneezing. Like there just seems to me a lot less illness than there has been normally at this time of year.
I'm not even seeing NyQuil. I'm not even seeing NyQuil commercials or Dayquil, anything like that. Yeah. And that's like a year-round thing. I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll see you.
Okay. Bye. I'm gonna play a video for you here about the infrastructure spending. I was talking about that. How I've been talking about it for years. Okay, this is a major thing that this country needs in order to compete with the rest of the world. They talk about, oh, we got to compete with China. Well, they're doing nothing to get the infrastructure in place to be able to do that. Joe Biden's bullshit infrastructure project is at best a dirty Band-Aid put on a fucked up 19th century infrastructure. Okay, and the infrastructure that America had was one of the big things that made America great to start with. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was just waiting for that video, but I'm glad that you're there. Yeah, it was a rainy day today. Did you notice that?
Little bit rainy. I always consider that another perfect Northwest afternoon.
I agree. No, it's actually a perfect spring day.
Yeah.
It just, the air was so fresh today. There was just, you could walk outside and you could smell the spring.
Yeah, I went outside. I've been, almost every time I go outside for the last few days, I get the pollen almost immediately. But today I didn't get that, which was really nice.
So I've been really fortunate in my life and haven't had a lot of issues with allergies. But I've noticed from living here, for the last 30 years, whatnot, that there's a couple of allergy seasons here. Like one is when the alder trees release their pollen in the spring, and that's pretty bad. And then the other one is the Scotch broom in the summertime. The Scotch broom blooms, and it grows in clear cuts and in places that have been reforested. So there's a lot of Scotch broom that grows like along the freeway around town. So there's two really bad seasons, one in the late summer and one in the spring. Here, I mean, that's what I've noticed. But I don't have allergies, so I don't really feel the effect of it, like tree pollen or pollen from grass.
It hit me, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, it hit me in February, and it lasted way longer than usual because I think it was because it was an early thing, and then like kind of spring got drug out or something, So, or maybe it started to rain and cool off a little bit, and then it went into a second bloom, something like that. But I got hit really early, either last year or the year before, and so I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember last year. I don't remember if there was allergy commercials on TV or not, but. Because again, we were kind of in a similar situation then, but now we're in this situation where what I see is they're doing everything in their power to say, oh, you better get your shot. You better, we have limited shot. There's only so many people we can handle. And yet they keep opening it up to more and more people. So, And every place that I see, like they have the places on the street. Number one, I don't know who the fuck wants to go and get some kind of needle stuck in them in a non-fucking sterile environment. But hanging your arm out the fucking car is anything but a sterile environment to start with.
I've met a lot of junkies in my life, and a lot of people are completely willing to use needles in public without, I hear your point,
Yeah, junkies, of course, don't have a problem with where they're shooting up.
Yeah, of course. But your average citizen, is concerned about their health. You're right. I mean, they're pushing this down people's throats. I'm just kind of toning it all out. I'm just ignoring it, like putting a big zone around me. And I don't really think about it very often, to be honest with you. But I can't avoid it being an issue in the news or what's on other people's minds. But I think I've come to the conclusion months and months and months ago that this is some kind of a scam, and that I don't know exactly what all the details of the scam are, because that's how conspiracies work. That's how corporations conduct business. They don't tell you the whole story, like what their real intentions are. But you know that they're nefarious just by paying attention. And when they start forcing drugs on people, it's just not a good thing. It should be obvious to anyone who's paying attention. It's a little suspicious, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's more than suspicious when, it's like there isn't any kind of dissenting voice, and
I think you're right, though, when you were talking about the HIPAA laws the other night. I read about those laws. The laws that say you can't give your medical information.
Yeah, can't ask for the medical information. It's illegal to ask for medical information.
I think I think you were right, because I saw something today that Biden is backing down on vaccine passports, and one of the reasons why is it's this cultural rift. There's so many people in certain parts of the country that are really pissed off about it. It's just going to accelerate this culture rift, which is a bad thing. And then the second thing is probably the legality of it. It's probably not legal. And I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I would think there would be major lawsuits right away if that was the... I'm surprised we're not hearing more about lawsuits in New York. I mean, they've rolled out their vaccine passport there, but they're not requiring anybody to use it yet, to anybody to show it, And again, the only people that they interview in news stories about the New York vaccine passport are people like, oh, I think it's a great idea. No fucking dissenting voices at all. So that shows a lot of what, when you're talking about a PSYOP, if there's no other opinion there, that's a PSYOP. Go ahead.
Yeah, and businesses like Staples and Office Depot offering to laminate your card, and Krispy Kreme donuts giving you free food.
Yeah.
I mean, it just all kind of is yucky as far as I'm concerned. It's like a big PR scam, and businesses should be ashamed of exploiting people's fear to make money and promote their businesses. They should be embarrassed, I think. But they see it as an opportunity to make money, so fuck them.
I agree. I think that's why. I mean, the allergy season, especially the pollen season, is a multi-billion-dollar industry for these people. So
I read
they must
like $40 billion or something like that for allergies.
Yeah,
and
so they must
25 million Americans who have allergies and are looking for some kind of relief.
Yeah,
and the drug companies just push these drugs down their throat.
Right, and that's why they're on TV every other commercial break, is because again it's this huge industry until now. And again, the reason I think there are no allergy medication commercials on television is because when you sneeze, they want you to think, oh my God, I got the Rona. When you sneeze and other people hear you or see you, they want to go, oh my God, that guy's going to kill us. It's going to spread the shit everywhere, as if you were a villain. And if they were to see these commercials, they would go, oh yeah, it's pollen season or whatever,
So people are hiding their sneezing behind their mask and pretending they don't have allergies because they don't want to alarm their neighbors and their friends that they might have COVID-19.
Right. Yeah, which they're already alarmed. I mean, it's not that they're going to alarm them. They're already alarmed and on fucking heightened, awareness. So when you sneeze, they're going to fucking go, ah, and run away. You know, which again, this is what I've been telling you. This is what the media, this is what the government wants you to believe. When you're at the grocery store, if somebody breathes on you, you're gonna die. You know?
Hold on. Three quick stories from the Stranger's blog, the Stranger's weekly newspaper's blog this morning, that do kind of relate to infrastructure. This question you were talking about with infrastructure. And the first point they made was, they said, please won't somebody think of the bridges. Only 37% of Washington State's bridges are in good condition. The rest are deteriorating. They need help. Really, they need money. Washington will need to spend $14.8 billion just to keep our infrastructure in satisfactory condition, which translates to not crumbling, according to the Seattle Times. Maybe some of that sweet, sweet Biden money will help us out. Big question mark, right? But the big
will help us out from keeping our infrastructure crumbling. Not give us some brand new great infrastructure that's strong and gonna last for, you know, decades to come. It's a fucking Band-Aid, a dirty Band-Aid that's gonna keep our infrastructure from crumbling.
But the important statistic was 37% of our bridges are in good condition, so to speak, which means over 2/3 of the bridges in this state are not in great condition, which just shows like how serious, like we you know, not just here but in other parts of the country as well, we've abandoned our infrastructure, and it's just been a long-term, decades-long problem where people don't want to pay to maintain these systems. They'll pay for war, you know, they'll pay, you know, profits to the rich. They'll invest in, you know, in this and that, but they do not invest in the infrastructure. They just kind of look at it as like, oh, we did that, and they move on, and it falls apart right in front of our eyes, like the bridges. There were two other really brief stories. One is Boeing, you know, the aircraft company. They're selling their real estate as a result of the virus in Seattle. The company just put its commercial airplanes headquarters in Renton up for sale. This is the 5th Boeing property in Puget Sound on the market in the region. Boeing executives say this is simply a sign of reduced office space needs in the post-COVID world.
Is that the airport?
Right?
Are you talking about the airport in
No, it's their commercial airplanes headquarters.
That means they would keep airplanes there, right?
That means that those are the offices for the administrators who make commercial airplanes for Boeing in Renton, in the Puget Sound area.
Okay, yeah,
So
no, I'm just there's an airport just south of Seattle, and it's full of brand new Boeing planes.
Where they test their planes right there next. Yeah, but this is a building. You know, it's an office building, but it's the 5th office building that they're selling because a lot of their workers are moving to this online, you know, form of work, where they don't have to go to work, they don't have to go to an office building. So they're all this, you know, market, all of this real estate, this commercial real estate is on the market, and you know, people don't need it. So when you think of infrastructure, just like we abandon the bridges, right? Once we're finished with something, it just kind of sits there, and it just becomes an abandoned building. I've seen this a lot, again, around the United States, like the train station in Buffalo, New York. I saw that in the early 1990s. And it was like this beautiful, you know, 12-story building, the centerpiece of town, completely abandoned. You know, I walked through this abandoned building and saw all of the abandoned rooms and the rubble. And it's just there's something that we do. So it's happening also with office buildings and also with malls. The last point from the Stranger said that Amazon, you know, the company Amazon, is profiting on death of malls. Amazon is buying up dying shopping malls across the country and turning them into fulfillment centers. From 2016 to 2019, Amazon bought and converted 25 malls. Amazon and e-commerce dealt the killing blow to malls, and now Amazon is inhabiting the corpses. So shopping centers around the country are now becoming warehouses for Amazon, i.e., you know, Amazon fulfillment centers.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Yeah.
So, like, just you know, how the way our buildings are changing. You know, the way we abandon things so quickly and just look to the very next thing without thinking about what are we going to do with this, you know, 8-story office building in Renton that used to be the commercial airline, you know, operations for Boeing. What are we going to do with that building? they'll just sell it, but its value is going to go down over time. You know what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe they'll convert it to, sometimes they convert office buildings. They've done it here into, residential.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll convert it into residential space, but it'll change. What was that story about jellyfish, Mike? I only heard it. I didn't see the video. And the guy said, jellyfish? That's a strange thing. What was...
They're talking about how jellyfish are coming up onto the land, that more of them are washing up, and that climate change seems to be working because the jellyfish population is increasing, and that more of them are coming up on land, and they think that possibly the reason more of them are coming up on the beaches is because there's food on the beaches, and there's too much competition for food or whatever, and jellyfish always come up on the fucking beach. Okay.
Yeah.
I grew up on the fucking beach, and jellyfish always come up on the beach, and now it's just as obvious as worse, way worse, and they're just trying to make some kind of fucking excuse about how maybe they're gonna find food up on the beach. No, that's a bunch of bullshit. They're gonna die up on the beach.
I've read articles about ocean acidification. Maybe promoting, jellyfish populations, increasing jellyfish populations. Like, they don't seem to be as affected as much by the acidification of oceans. Like coral reefs, disintegrate when the oceans acidify, but the jellyfish seem to flourish. And also, I found out tonight, which I didn't think about, but jellyfish are a source of food. They can be dried out and then they're sold. They were considered a delicacy in Asia. So maybe as jellyfish populations increase, human beings, as they look for food, will be eating dried jellyfish more often,
Japanese will eat anything, dude.
Anything from the ocean?
Pretty much.
Yeah, they like seafood a lot. There was a bad cop story from Ukiah in Mendocino County, where a naked person, a mentally ill person last week, was beaten brutally by a gang of cops.
Yeah, cops hate nothing more than a naked person. Like, oh God, I gotta touch this fucking, this fucking scumbag. They don't look at us with any care at all. We're all fucking scumbag drug users or drug dealers to them. So when they see a naked one, it's like they don't have the slightest bit of sympathy.
Especially if the person has some kind of mental illness. But I read the article first, like at the Free Thought Project, and they said he just basically stood there and took the abuse without responding or resisting at all, just completely passively as they just beat the shit out of him. And this was from the Mendocino newspaper. This brief clip. It says, officers of the Ukiah Police Department beat a locally mentally ill man who had stripped naked in South Ukiah, pepper spraying him, tasing him, knocking him to the asphalt, and then punching him repeatedly in the face before flipping him over and striking him repeatedly in the back of a head. Video shows, and there's video footage of it. Family members said he was hospitalized at Ukiah Medical Center with fractures to the face and a concussion. Sometime on Thursday, his family said he had a history of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, stripped naked in the parking lot of a bakery. And they said he may have taken LSD and that he was a schizophrenic and sometimes he would use LSD, which is something they knew, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody's on acid, or that they might have some issues, like the way they're thinking. The last thing you want to do is beat the shit out of them. After being beaten and arrested, he was hospitalized and then taken to some mental hospital or something. But that's horrible. That's a horrible story, I think. People being brutalized by the police. Mm-hmm. And it happened in Mendocino last week.
Yeah. When I say fuck the police, I'm very sincere about that. I mean, fuck them. Okay, the police does nothing for us. They're not This guy is having a mental breakdown. The police should be there to protect him and make sure that he's okay and safe. And they're the big danger to him. Instead, they're this giant danger to him that basically puts him into the hospital.
Yeah, and again, there's this issue of why do you need, in this case, it was 4 or 5 police officers. Why do you need 4? Why do these people not have martial arts training? Why can't they disarm a person and get them into a police car without using excessive force? And why aren't they trying to talk the person down and make the person calm and make them understand everything's going to be okay?
Right.
They do everything the opposite, the exact opposite of what they should do.
Yeah.
Par for the course. Oh, last note before I go, and I won't read this story, but it's from the Stop the Drug War. And one of the things they noted today was that New York State Police will not be allowed to pull over or search a car for the smell of marijuana in the car anymore. And they talk about what the ramifications of that are. But, in the past, they could search your car for any reason as long as they claim that they smelled marijuana.
Yeah, or alcohol or whatever.
Or alcohol or whatever. So I wonder how that's going to affect these drugged driving laws, right? If they have a drugged driving law, say in the future, which when they get proper testing, or they can determine how long ago you had smoked marijuana or consumed marijuana,
right?
How much marijuana, how much THC is in your bloodstream. Then maybe at that point in time, I wonder if they'll be able to use smell as a reason to search a car.
Well, the New York law sounds pretty fucking progressive.
Yeah, like they learned some things in the last 10 years. Some things that we should have thought about in this state when we implemented the marijuana laws, a long time ago. So those are some of the stories I wanted to share, and I guess viewers can look forward to jellyfish sticks in the future as the oceans become acid. And it's going to be 70 degrees here all week next week, which is a little warm. I mean, I like warm weather, but that is a little warm for mid-April, just for where we live. And I heard the same thing from a friend in Central California as well, that it's been really warm, almost like summertime there. So it's a little early. Hopefully it isn't going to be a scorcher, and the forest won't burn this summer like it does when it gets really hot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a sunny summer. All right, Chris, it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, have a good night, man.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, so I have a video here about infrastructure spending, and I thought that goes along with what we've been talking about, and you guys would want to see that.
In a brief exchange with reporters today, President Biden said his administration is willing to negotiate with Republicans over how high to raise the corporate tax rate. The comments came as the president sought to line up support for his second $2.25 trillion spending bill in his first 90 days in office. Here's Sinclair National correspondent James Rosen.
At the White House, President Biden argued his $2.25 trillion jobs plan will not only recoup the 12 million jobs the U.S. is still missing from pre-pandemic levels, but ensure American competitiveness in the decades ahead.
Do you think China is waiting around to invest in its digital infrastructure? But they're counting on American democracy to be too slow, too limited, and too divided to keep pace.
Mr. Biden's American Jobs Plan envisions a broad mix of federal spending, including $820 billion for roads, bridges, internet access, and other items categorized as infrastructure, $600 billion to create incentives for domestic manufacturing, enhance worker training, and invest in research and development, and $400 billion to expand home health services and support healthcare workers. To pay for the 8-year spending package over the next 15 years, the Biden plan would increase the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%.
I'm not trying to punish anybody, but damn it, I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
But today, Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo made clear the White House is not wedded to that figure.
Is the rate not quite 28? Is it something, lower?
Congressional Republicans supported trillion-dollar spending packages at the height of the pandemic under President Trump, but are now reprising their traditional role as deficit hawks when many economists foresee rapid growth for the U.S. economy without the American Jobs Plan being enacted.
We expect the pace of recovery to pick way up, with the first half of this year averaging about 7.5%, with an increase that's almost as large in the second half of the year.
President Biden told reporters today he tried to cut a deal with Republicans over his last blockbuster spending package, but they only made one pitch for a package 1/3 the size of what he was requesting, and he urged them to try a more cooperative approach this time around. Outside the nation's capital, James Rosen.
All right, well, call me what you want, but don't fuck with Wilco, all right? If he's not here, you know, I don't want anybody fucking with him. You can fuck with me all you want. I really don't care, but don't fuck with Wilco. All right, so I am about ready for a big fat dab. Hello, darling. If anyone would like to have a dab with me, please just follow me and do exactly as you see. I'm almost ready here. So, what do we got going on? I have more videos for you guys. Did I play that last video already? I don't think I did. But again, what I'm saying is $800 billion for the infrastructure is at best a dirty Band-Aid. And I'm pretty sure they make that clear in that video. You know, it's like Chris was saying, only 37% of the bridges in Washington State are satisfactory condition. Satisfactory. Skunky. All right. I'm feeling much better now. Okay, so again, this infrastructure thing, you guys know this is like a major hard-on for me. Again, I can't imagine anything more important to the United States. Again, I think healthcare is a matter of national security, healthcare for everyone. And that's because the more healthy a population is, the more secure they are. It seems very, very basic. And in my opinion, a national health care plan for every single American would make us much more secure than the fucking Pentagon does, or the CIA, or the FBI. So we should immediately be defunding all of those fucking organizations. Oh, I left out the DHSH. They need to go. We never had them before 9/11. We don't need them. They're wasting our money. What we need is a goddamn real infrastructure project. Okay? And whatever, I don't know if it's because Joe Biden is 150 fucking years old that he thinks a fucking a dirty Band-Aid is going to make American infrastructure compete with the rest of the world. Is that what he thinks? He thinks because he's 150 fucking years old, he thinks infrastructure was built yesterday and we can just put a Band-Aid on it and it's going to be the newest, most modern infrastructure in the world then, and we'll be able to compete with China then? Is that what you're thinking, Creepy Joe? Because what I'm seeing is that, again, this is one of the most important things that we can possibly do in America. Right up there with mental health care and public health care for everyone. These are incredibly important things. And nobody talks about this. The infrastructure, $800 billion infrastructure project. Are you kidding me? That's going to hire maybe, 20 people? He's like, oh, this is going to create all kinds. No, it's not. It's not going to create jobs. You know what's going to create jobs? Legalize cannabis nationwide. 10 million new jobs in the first year. That's before we even figure out all the fucking things that we can do. The entire brand new cannabis industry that's completely untouched at the moment, that can make incredible things happen. 10 million new jobs in the first year. You want to make new jobs? You don't want to spend any money? Legalize cannabis, you fucking idiotic fool! Joe. It's that simple, people. It's that simple. But this fucking, put a Band-Aid, a dirty Band-Aid on our infrastructure and talk about how that's moving boldly into the fucking 21st century. Suck a bag of dicks. You're completely full of shit. Okay? And I'm tired of this. This is so important. If America wants to compete with the rest of the world, we can't do it on a 19th century infrastructure. That should be obvious to even dumb people. So, I don't know what else to say about this. But, it's this core thing with me where we can create so many fucking new jobs in every fucking corner of the country. Again, if you want to create new jobs, which they don't, you could do that overnight by signing. If you really want to sign an executive order, sign a goddamn executive order saying marijuana is completely decriminalized in the United States. No one, not fucking no bullshit about under 18 is going to be a misdemeanor. Fuck you. You're going to ruin some kid's life because he has fucking flowers in his pocket? And that's supposed to be a kinder, gentler nation? Okay? Stop the bullshit. Take your bullshit fucking failed war on drugs off our flowers. Okay? Give the people freedom. Let them have 10 million new jobs in one fucking year, you fucking stupid piece of shit! I'm sorry. I might be a little bit ramped up on that skunky weed here. No, I'm not. Okay? There is nothing more important. Like I said, public health, mental health, infrastructure project. Fuck the Pentagon. Fuck the Department of Homeland Security. Fuck the CIA. Fuck the FBI. We don't need any of that shit. It's not doing its job. It can't win a war in fucking Afghanistan over 20 years with trillions of dollars. They can't win a fucking war in Afghanistan against people living in mud huts and caves. Okay? We don't need the goddamn Pentagon. And their fucking wars are bullshit. Okay? Iraq, they spent trillions of dollars on Iraq, clearly based on lies that came directly from the White House and the Pentagon. We do not need the motherfucking Pentagon. They're building F-35s, right? The helmet for the F-35s costs $275,000. And every single pilot has to have his own helmet in order to be able to fly that plane. $275,000 for a motherfucking helmet. Okay, and I bet you if China's building the exact same plane, a fucking helmet don't cost no $275,000. Okay, so we don't need the Pentagon. The Pentagon is bullshit. You know what the Pentagon needs? The Pentagon needs war. The Pentagon needs tax on America. You know why? Then we all know why we need the Pentagon so bad, right? Bullshit. Okay, we do not need the Pentagon. We don't need all these bullshit fucking piece of shit politicians. Okay, they need to go to prison. Okay, we need to make examples of them. Okay, if you didn't vote against war, if you haven't spoke out against war, if you haven't tried to stop the fucking drug war and fight for the people's freedom, like you swore an oath to do, a sacred vow to fight for the people's freedom, to protect the people's freedom, and you hang on to the failed drug war tooth and nail, like you're never gonna let it go. The failed drug war, which has brought us heroin, an opium epidemic, a meth epidemic, cocaine everywhere. Oh yeah, the drug war, we have to keep it going forever. Think of the children. Right now there's a war on your children. Okay? And when they legalize cannabis, they're going to make they're not going to penalize you anymore. They're going to penalize your children because it's illegal for someone under, in this country, I'll sure it's going to be 21. It's not going to be 18. In Canada, it's 18. But again, they don't want to penalize people. And I don't know what they're doing with the kids up there, but hopefully, they're treating like it's nothing. Like, okay, if this happens again, we're probably going to have to get you some help. You're probably going to have to talk to some counselors, so don't let it happen again. But it's not like we're going to take your fucking life away forever. Which is what happens in America when they fuck with your kid over flowers. Okay, I don't have any kids. I have no reason to worry about this. I love freedom. That's the reason I worry about it. I love your freedom. I love your kids' freedom. And I hate the motherfucking police state. I'm so incredibly tired of the ever-expanding motherfucking police state. And how you can't be, I don't know. Oh my God, they want to defund the police. Of course. It's the simplest thing in the world to do. You end the drug war. You legalize cannabis. How much taxes is that going to create nationwide? You legalize cannabis. Just by the sign of a fucking pen, big old fucking freedom fighter Joe Biden can legalize cannabis, can decriminalize it at the very least. Say no one's getting arrested for cannabis in this country anymore. Creating, if you legalize it, you create 10 million new jobs overnight, 1 year. You say now, starting today, it's legal. 10 million new jobs in a year. And that doesn't even begin, again, to tap into, in little slightest bit, the incredible industry that cannabis is going to bring to this country or the entire world once the stupid fucking U.S. drug laws end. Because the reason that cannabis is illegal around the world is 100% because of the United States. Okay? Because they went to the UN and they passed a resolution that said no one gets any UN money, any UN aid, if cannabis is legal in their country. Okay, that's 100% because of the United States. And we deserve, the world deserves, if we're going to be the only superpower in the world, the shiny beacon of light of democracy in the world, fuck democracy. If we're going to be, freedom, the shiny beacon of freedom in the world, then we need to act like it. We need to act like we don't want to have more people in prison than Russia and China combined. Right? We need to act like, we don't want to spread weapons all over the world, creating wars and oppression. We want to spread seeds and fresh water and the ability to make the earth green again. If we're going to be the shiny beacon of the future, leading boldly into the 21st century. Because war is not where it's at. And war is where America is all about. And your children and you deserve a better America than that. I'm just saying, if it was you and I that replaced Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, I bet you we'd have completely different priorities than these fucking piece of shit human beings. And I hate calling them human beings because, number one, I question if they are human beings. But I would bet that if they are human beings, that they're probably somehow being controlled by creatures that are not human beings. Because they don't act like they're human at all. They don't act like they give a fuck about the human race. And again, what I've said over and over again is that I see them trying to suppress the human race from our next evolution. by all this oppression, by the suppression of freedom. You know, because the only way we evolve is being able to go in any direction at any moment and make whatever cool idea we can imagine happen. You know, at least start taking steps that direction. Because once you start taking steps that direction, there's such a thing called synchronicity. A lot of people don't understand synchronicity. Synchronicity means that once you start heading a direction, things will fall into place that allow you to keep heading that direction. And other people will see you heading that direction and help you move along that direction. It's that's what kind of one of the aspects of synchronicity. You know, if you act like you think synchronicity, I don't know, you guys remember the Police Sting? If you act as you think, I think that's one of the lines from the story, from the song. You act as you think, synchronicity. It's a good album. All right, so what was I saying? Infrastructure, you deserve better, children's future, failed drug war. You guys you keeping up, right? I know, I just say the same shit night after night after night. I guess I just have like a checklist of stuff that's important to me. You know, freedom at the top, failed drug war, healthcare, infrastructure. I'm sorry if that's letting you down. I'm sorry if I sound repetitive. I'm not sorry. Fuck you. Because I'm going to do what's important to me. You don't like that. You don't think these things are important to you. Why are you here? You want to argue about it? Call on the phone. You'd like to discuss it because it is important to you? Call on the fucking phone. The telephone number is right there. 805-669-6397. You all have fucking free nationwide calling. Right? Every single one of you. So what's the hold up here? We've gotten international calls. Canada on a regular basis. Australia at least 3 or 4 or 5 times. So, I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to play a video about, Portland police tactics being called into question and hopefully being reformed. So I thought that was important to see. And the reason that I love this is because, again, it shows that it's not the protesters that are the bad people. The protesters are in the street demanding that their, out of control police state government hear their voices. And meanwhile, their out of control police state government is pepper spraying them, tear gassing them, flashbang grenading them, shooting them with rubber bullets. And they're Americans who are supposed to have the freedom to go into the street and demand that their so-called representative government hear their voices. So, again, Portland police officer, police tactics being looked into being reformed.
Developing now in Oregon, the full House of Representatives will consider a slew of police reform bills. This comes after a House committee voted to send those bills to the House floor last night. The bills deal with a variety of reform topics, including the use of tear gas and munitions, officer identity requirements, and new training. It's unclear when the bills will be considered.
That was a short video. I thought it was a tiny bit longer than that. But I thought it was an important video, again, for numerous reasons. Besides the fact that, again, we're looking at police reform and hopefully going to begin to get a more national conversation about police reform. And it's important to see and hear other voices than just dickholes who want the cops around them. And, so they think of themselves the news reader, the news celebrities. The prostitutes think of themselves as celebrities somehow, and so I'm sure they want the police. The last thing we need is less police, and we're going to hear that again and again a whole bunch of different ways. But the truth is we have way too many cops. We have way too much, because there's crime everywhere. And I've said this again and again. Police need there to be crime. Pentagon needs there to be reason to go to war. CIA needs terrorists. FBI needs bank robbers. Okay? And, just like the for-profit medical industrial complex needs sick people. There's a problem here. They have an alternative incentive. It's not just, we're here to do the right thing. It's that, if there's more crime, we get a bigger budget. If there's more war, the Pentagon gets a bigger budget. If there's more terrorists, the CIA gets a bigger budget. The Department of Homeland Security gets a bigger budget. And I see this as a big conflict of interest. Again, they shouldn't get a bigger budget for not doing their job in the first place. Okay, if they were doing their job, there wouldn't have been a terrorist attack, which the CIA is listening to absolutely everybody, collecting absolutely everybody's fucking text messages, their private messages, absolutely every single bit of information they can get on every single person around the fucking world. But somehow the terrorists just slip right past them. That doesn't seem like an organization that should get more money, does it? Not to me. Again, there should be a penalty for the Pentagon not being able to win a war after 20 years, with trillions of dollars spent in Afghanistan, a place where nobody wins wars. Okay, they're never going to win the war there, number one. They knew they were never going to win the war there, number two. And I don't think they've tried at all to win the war there. And again, this is what I'm talking about Iraq, Iraq being based on lies, Libya. Imagine, again, I talk a lot about the generations that are coming behind us. Imagine the generations that are coming behind us knowing that America killed their parents, their grandparents, their brothers, their sisters, on wars based on lies. It's like they're trying, the Pentagon, the CIA, the Department of Homeland, it's like they're trying to create a whole generation of people that will want to attack the U.S. Doesn't it seem like that? I mean, a war based on lies that killed 1 million people, innocent people, in your name, with your tax dollars. Don't you think that maybe those people might want some retribution? Isn't that mighty convenient for the CIA, the Pentagon, the Department of Homeland Security? Don't you see an alternative motive here? Because I do. And I'm telling you right now, if there is a terrorist attack, all of those people should have their budgets cut immediately. Okay? And let's get some fucking people in here who know how the hell to get us out of fucking Afghanistan, because I've had fucking enough of that. Nobody's ever been able to win a war in Afghanistan. It doesn't happen. Not even the world's only superpower. After trillions of dollars spent. And again, you've heard 2 Bronze Star Brandon call the show, and I asked him directly. We've all seen these pictures of U.S. soldiers guarding poppy fields. And I said, "Is that for real?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Are they just guarding them until they can burn them?" He's like, "No, that's like a form of currency over there." So they're actually protecting the heroin that's flooding the failed drug war and, stringing out millions of people across the United States, probably killing lots of them. This is the government that we have. This is the shiny beacon of freedom in the world. And again, if you or I or both, if you and I were to trade places with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, not only am I certain that we could do a much, much better job, I'm absolutely certain we'd have a completely different list of priorities than these horrible human beings, professional politicians who have done horrible, horrible things that have hurt the American people many, many times. Why does anybody want them in the White House? I can't imagine for a second. Why? Oh, because it's not Donald Trump. You know, I kind of want to buy into it. I think everybody, especially probably somehow, you know, liberals or something, want to buy into that. And I like to think of myself as, you know, as liberals as the founding father, as liberal as the founding fathers, you know, who said fuck you to the government, who said fuck you to the police state. I like to think of myself as being that liberal. I like to think of myself as being as liberal as Jesus, you know, who overturned the tables in the square where the bankers were, you know, and fucking said, you know, there's a whole new set of rules, people. You know, there's a new sheriff in town, and spelled it out for the people. You know, I think he was incredible. If there was a Jesus, he was incredibly liberal, from what I understand. So, and I hope to be, you know, kind of as liberal as those people. You know, I mean, Thomas Jefferson said the highest form of patriotism is dissent. Or he said, dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Because that's what it means to be a free person. To be able to say, no, fuck you. It's like I was saying earlier, I was saying, oh, I'm sorry about this. Fuck you, I'm not sorry. That's what it means to be a free person. And it's not that I'm not sorry, it's just I don't have anything to be sorry about, so fuck you. If you think I do. Not just fuck you, but if you think I do, fuck you. Because I don't have anything to be sorry about. And I want to, you know, I want to do what's right. I try really hard to do what's right. I try really hard to make interesting things happen in the world that are worthy of your time, or anyone's time who might tune in, not necessarily to the live streams, but any of the videos that 60,000 plus videos that I published over the last 16, 17 years. It was always like, I try to make sure it was worthy of your time, because there's so much bullshit in the news and it just drags on. And it's like they just keep covering the same 3 stories over and over. So it's like, it's just a giant waste of time if you're watching the mainstream media. So I tried to find what was really worthy of your time and posted 60,000 plus videos. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to waste your time. And that's when because I would look at, you know, the stats for Mock's news page, and there'd be like 10 million hours watched, or some ridiculous number like of hours watched. And I kept thinking, man, you know, that's for a 30-day period. I was thinking, man, if we could focus that energy onto, you know, something really important, like, you know, getting a better government, sending our current government to prison. You know, if we could focus our energy on something like that, imagine what we could make happen, right? So, again, I more than anything else, I have respect for your time, and I don't want to waste it. So, the telephone number is right there, 805-669-6397. And I'd love to have a conversation about it with you if you would like that. Let's see. Okay, so I have another little video here about the racism that goes on inside our local jail here in the Seattle area. And I thought it was important. Again, very worthy of your time. But it's only it's only like a 15-second video. So.
A new audit of the King County Jail finds black inmates face harsher discipline than white inmates. A review over 3 years finds black inmates had the highest security confinement, despite only making up 36% of the jail population. The audit also flagged other issues, including inmates being housed in tight quarters, which leads to more violence, and a lack of psychiatric resources for an increasing number of people with serious mental illnesses. In all, the county made 25 recommendations to help establish a new approach.
So, and that's, you know, in one of the most progressive cities in the world. the blatant racism that's going on in a place that should be try so hard not to let racism happen. Because that would be the last thing you'd want anybody accusing you of when you're actually, keeping people as prisoners. But apparently the police don't really care about that. And no one else does until we can actually get some information on it, although we all know this is going on. Imagine that being, in one of the most progressive cities in the world. What's going on in places like Arkansas, in Kansas, and giant police fucking prison states like Texas and Arizona, it just makes me want to vomit until I die, thinking about how bad that must be for some people. Again, especially considering the mental health issue that we have in this country. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible. We're better people than this. I don't know how we can allow this to happen. At least I think that we're better people than this. I'd like to think that you're better people than this. I hope that my neighbors are better people than this. I really hope that you would want a better future for your children than this. So I'm going to go ahead and play a video about Palestinian aid, getting back to the Palestinians, which probably means being given to Israel and letting Israel dole it out to the Palestinians, would be my guess. I'm not sure. I'm guessing. But I think this is probably, in my opinion, my favorite thing that Joe Biden has ever done in his 140-year career as a professional politician. This may be the best thing he's done. Again, you have to take it with a grain of salt and consider that often what they call aid to Palestine is actually controlled by Israel.
The U.S. State Department plans to give millions of dollars to the Palestinians, restoring some of the aid that was cut off by the Trump administration. Most of the funds will go to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. The decision is part of a deliberate effort to repair U.S. ties with the Palestinians that all but collapsed under President Trump. Here's our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Knell.
We need to do a major, Hanadi grew up on these streets in Aida refugee camp. Now she's responsible for repairing them. But 3 years ago, her job at the UN Refugee Agency got much harder when the Trump administration slashed aid. She's relieved the US is reversing course.
Everyone used to get such a great and generous support coming from the US. And when we heard about this cut, it was a really shock for us because many of the basic services were cut.
Thousands took to the streets in Gaza to protest in 2018, fearing that an end to support for UNRWA meant an end to support for them as refugees. Their fate is one of the key issues in the Palestinians' conflict with Israel. Originally, UNRWA was set up to take care of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians displaced by the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Over 70 years later, many of their descendants still live in camps. The agency provides all services for over 5.5 million people in the occupied West Bank, Gaza, and across the Middle East. Israel is its main critic. It believes aid given to UNRWA would be better off given to other humanitarian organizations.
The perpetuation of the dream of bringing the descendants of refugees back to Jaffa is what sustains this conflict. UNRWA is part of the problem, not part of the solution.
President Biden's shown he's ready to drop parts of his predecessor's Middle East policy, which Palestinians saw as biased to Israel. But their leaders are having to act too. They've called their first general election in 15 years.
All of a sudden, out of the blue, it all became possible. And that happened basically after Biden was elected. And I feel that part of the pressure that is being applied to the Palestinian leadership today is the need for it to renew its political legitimacy.
It's thought that the US could take further steps after the vote. Ordinary Palestinians, not just refugees, often feel helplessly caught up in international tussles of power. Now they're hoping that this announcement is about more than money. It's about a fresh start with Washington. Yolande Knell, BBC News, Bethlehem.
Change of administration in the White House, a change of policy. Will it change the situation now on the ground as well?
I have a video tomorrow night that has Pooh and Tigger in it, so you know. Pooh. The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. They're bouncy. Oh no, their tails are made out of rubber. No. Their nose is made out of rubber, and their tails are made out of springs. They're bouncy, fun. But the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one. Okay, so I have a video from Kennedy about the crypto credit card that's being released by Chase Bank, which I know you guys will find interesting. I have a video here about the drug possession laws. Oh, I gotta go heat up my tea, so I'm gonna play this video about Democrats suing Donald Trump because blaming him for the insurrection that happened on January 6th. It's mind-boggling the way they want to treat these people, to me. But it's like they're the worst of the worst. They're terrorists. They want so badly to call them terrorists. They're all carrying American flags. Not a single fire set. Nothing blows up. Not a statue toppled. Not a painting ripped down. Not graffiti anywhere. But they're terrorists. They're the worst kind of terrorist. And then we're gonna hear about these Democrats and how they feared for their lives. They were so I trembled in my office thinking I was gonna die. Why would someone want to kill a public servant? Someone who gives their life to help other people have a better life. Pick them up and give them a better life, a better future, not just for themselves, but for their children. Why would anyone ever want to attack a public servant like that? Nancy? Anybody got the answer to that? Because I'll be right back, and the telephone number is 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News, and I'd love to have a discussion about this too.
10 Democratic members of Congress have just joined in on a new lawsuit against former President Trump and Rudy Giuliani, accusing them of inciting the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. And the former president is also now taking a lot of heat from all directions, including from the former Republican House Speaker John Boehner. CNN Justice correspondent Jessica Schneider has more.
Former House Speaker John Boehner is getting candid and unleashing on the former president from his own party in his new memoir, writing that Trump incited that bloody insurrection for nothing more than selfish reasons, perpetuated by the BS he'd been shoveling since he lost a fair election the previous November. The excerpts were obtained by the New York Times, and Boehner blasts Trump's repeated insistence that the election was rigged, writing, he claimed voter fraud without any evidence and repeated those claims, taking advantage of the trust placed in him by his supporters and ultimately betraying that trust. Trump shot back in his signature style, calling Boehner a swamp creature through his spokesperson in a statement to CNN. Boehner's biting remarks were echoed by retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore at an event Tuesday night. Honore led the security review at the Capitol after January 6th and now says the Capitol attack was the result of a disinformation campaign led by then President Trump.
And people who wanting to believe that message that the election was stolen, they rode with it and they continue to ride with it. I think we've been had by a little propaganda and a superb use of information operation, which is an offensive weapon, to shape people's minds. And again, just tell them a little BS about what they want to hear, a sliver of truth, and have them act on it.
Meanwhile, 10 members of Congress who were in the House gallery when the Capitol was breached have joined a lawsuit against Trump and Rudy Giuliani and the far-right extremist groups, the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, accusing them of conspiring to incite the insurrection. It was first filed in February by top Democrat Benny Thompson, but now 10 more Democrats are sharing their stories of how they fled the House floor and huddled in their offices for hours. Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen described clutching a baseball bat in his pitch-black office, preparing for the worst. As I sat in my office on January 6 with rioters roaming the hallways, I feared for my life and thought I was going to die. The civil lawsuit is seeking unspecified money damages from Trump and the other defendants. Trump's spokesperson previously said Trump played no part in inciting the riot at the Capitol. More than 300 people have been charged for their role in the Capitol attack, and they're still appearing in court almost daily. But prosecutors have told a judge they are close to a plea deal with at least one defendant, John Schaefer.
My name's John Schaefer. I'm from Indiana.
A 53-year-old heavy metal guitarist with ties to extremist groups. Schaefer allegedly charged at police and is still now sitting in jail. And tonight we're learning that a separate defendant has flipped against the Proud Boys, agreeing to provide information that could allow prosecutors to bring more severe charges against the extremist group's leadership. And of course, this is a significant development since several members have already been charged with conspiracy. Wolf?
That's important. There's also, Jessica, some new video of Noah Green, the man who killed one Capitol police officer last week, injured another police officer, actually shopping for a knife before the attack. What are you learning?
Yeah, we've learned, Wolf, that Noah Green actually purchased that knife 90 minutes before he attacked the officers at the Capitol, and he bought it at this store less than 2 miles from the Capitol itself. We have this surveillance video that shows him inside District Cutlery, and the owner tells us that he spent 22 minutes inside the store looking through glass display cases, and he ultimately bought a $300 slicing knife. Wolf?
All right, Jessica, thank you very much. Very disturbing indeed. Coming up.
Man, that video of the guy buying the knife is just chilling, isn't it? It's just chilling, shocking video, wouldn't you say? These people are completely insane and must have just the biggest egos in the world to come out and say completely insane shit to the whole fucking world and think, yeah, they're buying it. You think they're buying it? Yeah, I think they're buying it. Oh, man. Talk about you're playing the white privilege card. I mean, I like playing the white privilege card, but these people, I mean, it's fake, it's real, it's fake. I don't know. I'm going to play the white privilege card. It's my turn to play the white privilege card.
Trump won the election. Among the suspects' possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer saying this to CNN. This was a guy simply...
I forgot. It's their bottoms that are made out of rubber, right? Isn't it their bottoms that are made out of rubber?
She's a bitch, right?
She's a bitch, are made out of rubber.
She's a bitch, right?
Is that it?
She's a bitch,
I can't remember.
She's a bitch, right?
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is
right?
Tiggers are wonderful things.
She's a bitch,
Their bottoms are made out of rubber.
She's a bitch,
Their tails are made out of springs.
She's a bitch,
Isn't their bottoms that are made out of rubber?
Right?
I think it's their bottoms that are made out of rubber.
She's a bitch, right?
Speaking of bottoms being made out of rubber.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other. They stay united.
You guys think she's just like that sexy, or you think she's like really high when she did that? because that's a very free girl, right? That's like the girl at the end of the the girl at the end of the Bright Side commercial, right? Just laughing her ass off. I mean, that's some girl that doesn't really give a fuck what you think on fucking nationwide news, right? I don't know. I'm just wondering, you think she's like high as fuck, or you think she just doesn't give a fuck? There's got to be one or the other, don't you think? Or both, right? Because we know this freedom thing. We know how much she loves freedom, you know, and we know she loves weed. Because the reason we know she loves freedom, she's like me. She brings up the drug war constantly. You know, the failed drug war. She doesn't spell it out quite as well as me. She doesn't talk about the meth epidemic, the heroin epidemic, the pill epidemic. But the incredibly failed drug war she does talk about, and I appreciate that a lot, because nobody else talks about it. At least no other major news commentator talks about it anywhere near the failed drug war. So, and I have a video about Kennedy talking about the crypto Visa credit card that's being released. But first, talking about the failed drug war and freedom. I have a video about a kind of weed. The commercial label on it is called napalm, right? Napalm cannabis, and I get the idea. Somehow there's controversy to that, like napalm killed a bunch of people in wars, you know. But I understand the napalm thing, right? I mean, a lot of people call weed fire. They say it's the fire, man. You know, so napalm basically generates fire. It doesn't generate fire so much as it catches everything it touches on fire. I understand where he's coming from with this you know, napalm cannabis. It's the fire, you know. That would be part of my slogan. It's the fire, because that way, you know, people would go click. So I'm going to play that video for you now, because that's what I came to do, is play videos, topical videos, and take fat dabs and talk with phone callers. So if you want to call, we're running out of videos real quick. And number is 805-669-6397. But I'd watch the video about the napalm cannabis first if I was you. Which one's that?
But another story for another time. Let's talk about rapper Exhibit. He's under fire right now for the name of his new marijuana company. It's called Napalm Cannabis. And yes, like the chemical agent that was used in firebombs during the Vietnam War. But it also happens to be the name of one of his studio albums. Of course, they don't know that. However, some customers have called the word racist. It's even been banned from one LA-based dispensary. And on IG today, the Instagrams, the rapper said it breaks his heart to be dealing with these, quote, small groups of people attempting to paint him with a broad brush.
If you know anything about me and my body of work, you know, I got albums called Weapons of Mass Destruction and, you know, Man vs. Machine, so on and so forth. So this album here is called Napalm, right? I put this album out in 2012. I know people don't use CDs anymore, but this is where the branding for Napalm came from. As you can see, that's the font we use, that's the flame we use. So it was based off this album. And it transcended into how we build, you know, our cannabis company. But that's neither here nor there. My intention for naming the cannabis company Napalm was by no means affiliated or nod to the devastation that it's had in its past.
I believe him. I have no doubt that Exhibit wasn't thinking about the bombing of the global South when he made that product or that album. But intention isn't everything. So I hope that he can rename the product and keep his business going. Anyway, it's almost time to go.
I'm glad to see him back on TV. I haven't seen him for a while. I believe his name is Mark Lamont Hill, and he's an interesting commentator At least that's what he's been. He hasn't been so much even in that clip, he hasn't been so much a news guy as a commentator. So but it's been interesting to hear some of the things he's had to say over the years. And those of you that have been around for a while know that I posted numerous clips with him in them. But again, it's nice to see him back on TV because I haven't seen him for quite some time. He probably doesn't want to talk about the COVID, so he's of no use to them, or he's not an expert. Okay, so, and again, as far as the napalm cannabis goes, I understand the name. I mean, it's easy to understand if you're a stoner, if you've been around for a while, if you're part of the cannabis culture, you know. For what, I don't know, the last 10, 20 years, people say it's the fire. When you go to get weed, you're like, you got something good? Oh, I got the fire. You know, so napalm fire. It makes a lot of sense to me. Although I would have chosen something much more natural, like vagina or goddess. Goddess, that's a good name right there, goddess. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play more videos because no one's calling. So I came here to play videos and smoke fat dabs. I'm going to play a video. Okay, so I have a short little video here in case you want to call about drug possession laws in Seattle. And one of the things about drug possession laws in Seattle is that right now they don't exist. And the reason they don't exist is because a judge ruled that they're unconstitutional in this state. And what I'm seeing happen, I shared a couple of videos about this story with you guys over the last few weeks. What I'm seeing happen is that the government is making it a top priority to get drug possession laws back in place as quickly as possible. And I don't know, again, how that can possibly be a top priority to allow cops to be able to beat up on the citizens, to make sure that cops have that right to fuck with anybody they want to fuck with, you know. I don't understand how that can be a top priority for lawmakers when, again, they talk about, oh, this year we're going to be able to talk about, you know, making cannabis home grows legal in this state. 8 years after legalization, cannabis home grows are still not legal in Washington state unless they're prescribed by a doctor. They don't call it prescribed, they call it recommended, but on there they can recommend how many plants you can grow. On my recommendation, it says I can grow 15 plants. But I digress. Every year for the last 8 years, they said, oh, we'll get to look at, you know, Washington home grows this you know, lawmaking session, and then they don't do it. But a Washington Supreme Court judge says, hey, these drug possession laws you have are completely unconstitutional, and they don't exist anymore. And they have to rush within just a few weeks. Okay, 8 years they haven't been able to give the good people, the law-abiding citizens of this great state, the freedom to grow flowers in their backyard. 8 years, they have not been able to find the time to make that happen. But, the Washington State Supreme Court strikes down drug possession laws. And we got to get on that right now. We got to make sure everyone's penalized that can be penalized. We got to make sure those cops can fuck with every single down and out person they possibly can. Because that's the kind of country we want to have. Because that's the kind of state we want to live in. What is wrong with these people? Seriously. I mean, how fucked up are the Washington state fucking lawmakers that it's like they're heading towards Washington D.C. and they just want to get practice punishing the people in Washington state before they get to Washington D.C. I hate you so much.
Washington has been operating without a drug possession law for more than a month now after the state Supreme Court ruled the law we had on the books was unconstitutional. Today, state lawmakers heard testimony about how it can be fixed. Only one bill is under serious consideration. In that measure, personal amounts of drugs like heroin, cocaine, and pain pills without a prescription would be allowed for anyone over 21, but it would be a gross misdemeanor for minors.
Possession of controlled substance should be recriminalized to some level.
This is a public health issue. We do not believe that criminalizing people for possession of any controlled substance is going to solve any problems.
The bill would require substance abuse treatment and diversion programs instead of jail.
And again, when they show these stories, again, you can see the propagandist slant, right? Because all they show is needles and people cooking up and, just like the most disgusting part of drugs. I mean, for me, I've always said that once you have to draw blood to get high, it's no longer recreational. And I firmly believe that. It becomes a job at that point. And I had a friend, and she used to call when she would she had a really hard time finding a vein, and when she would actually hit a vein and be able to get a shot, she would be like, she would tell me, I achieved 7 times today. She called it achieving. I achieved 7 times today. She was so proud and happy. And it's so sad. But like I say, if you have the right attitude and the understanding, humor is part of it all. Meaning that when you sign the contract to come to this planet, one of the guarantees is that no matter what's going on around you, if you're looking for humor in the situation, it is always there to be found. So I don't want you to think that I'm laughing at down and out people. Again, I want to see health care and mental health care and all these things for people who need it desperately in this country, which doesn't seem to be a priority for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Anyways, I have another video to play for you about, I'm going to play the Kennedy crypto video because I thought you guys would be interested. I thought it's a little bit of insider kind of information, not real big news, but something about the Coinbase doing an IPO drop next week. That seems like pretty big news that I hadn't heard about until this clip. So if you're interested in the crypto, you might be interested in this.
Now, speaking of shaking up an antiquated system, today, more evidence that cryptocurrency is going mainstream. So how could you join in and maybe boost your bank account in the process? As of today, Visa has unveiled a credit card that allows you to buy things with crypto. Visa says users of their new Crypto.com Visa card can make transactions in the USD coin currency. That is just the beginning of more crypto partnerships to come. So how can you start buying and selling using a decentralized currency? And which alternatives to the US dollar should you be shopping for? Joining me to discuss, CEO of Crypto.com, Chris Marsalek. Thanks, and welcome to the show. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, Kennedy. Pleasure to be here.
So a lot of people are very intrigued by crypto. They don't really know how it works. And you've got banks like Bank of America saying that crypto is stupid, Bitcoin should go away, we would never tell our partners to invest in it. And then you have Chase and Visa now basically using various companies to help instantly convert from crypto to US dollars. So tell me how this is working.
Well, I think it's a very important step towards mainstreaming of cryptocurrency to have a huge brand like Visa to go out there and endorse the entire industry. And how it works is, for example, if you're using a Crypto.com Visa card, you just spend it as you would your regular credit card, but you're earning rewards in crypto, and that makes it really popular. Now, what Visa enabled recently with us is that we can actually now settle all our obligations as Visa Program Manager in cryptocurrency to Visa. Instead of sending a wire, we just send a digital dollars to them on the public blockchain. So this is a very important first step for mainstreaming this, because now every single financial institution is scrambling to figure out what are we doing about crypto, how does our roadmap look like, how do we get on this train. So it's huge news.
Oh, which cryptocurrencies benefit the most from this?
Well, obviously, Bitcoin leads the entire industry, and people frequently think, oh, it's already at 60,000, I missed the boat. This is not how this thing works. If it's early enough for Elon Musk to accumulate Bitcoin, it's not too late for you.
No, I like it. I've got Coinbase, and I'm a fan. And Coinbase is about to have a big IPO.
Absolutely. And again, this is huge news for the industry. I'll go on the record that I think Coinbase is going to trade at a $100 billion market cap on day one next week. And it's going to be absolutely the focal point of the entire conversation on Wall Street for the next week or two. And it's also great for smaller companies like us. I mean, Coinbase got 56 million users. We just crossed 10 million users mark last month, and we're growing much faster than Coinbase. It's fantastic for us.
How did you get that domain? When did you sign up for that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. The domain was owned for more than 25 years by a cryptography professor, Matt Blaze, who is famous for saying that crypto stands for cryptography and not cryptocurrency. But somehow we managed to reach an agreement and convince him that that this is the right home. This could be the home of cryptocurrency. This could be a home for everybody who wants to buy, sell, earn crypto, pay with crypto. This is the perfect name, and we managed to secure it in 2018.
Well, congratulations. We will be watching you and your partnership with Visa. We'll be watching all of it. And, some people are just getting into it. And I love when people break it down. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me, Kennedy.
Very good. Coming up.
So I thought that was pretty interesting information and a big old giant fucking advertisement for crypto.com. But I still think it's not too late to get into the Tron, people. Although, if you had bought Trons back when I said it was all about the Trons, people, like 3 weeks ago, on Monday, it would have been triple the price that I told you 3 weeks ago. Or 4 weeks ago, whatever it was. But I still don't think it's too late to get in on the Trons. And there's numerous reasons why I say this, but mostly because it stays in the top 15, 20 most traded cryptos. And it just has stayed there forever. I mean, the Dodge goes up and down, and I was telling Craig about the Tron like 3 months ago. I'm like, dude, it's the Tron, the Tron, the Tron. He's like, no one's talking about the Tron. I said, somebody's talking about it because it's been top 10 for the last like 5 weeks in a row. So somebody's talking about it just because Elon Musk isn't talking about it. Thank Jackie Cat. And I want to agree with you that I think that Kennedy just doesn't give a fuck. Which should be how all confident people really are. I don't really care what you think, because I know what it is that I do. I know who I am. I know what it is that I'm making happen in the world. And if that's not good enough for you, why should I give a fuck? That's just kind of where I come from, more or less, and I can see her coming from the same place, So, let's see. The Litecoin, okay, I asked you about the Litecoin, Jackie Cat, when it was $155, the Litecoin, and you told me that you thought it was overpriced. And hit like 140, 144, 143, no, 243 yesterday, I think. It's been hovering between 240 really 235 and 200 for the last couple weeks. It seems like it's trying to get comfortable at 200, and then it goes to but it's, see, the thing with the Litecoin, right, is that they call the Litecoin, they call the crypto, they call the Bitcoin the gold of the crypto market, and they call the Litecoin the silver of the crypto market. And at least that's what I've read in a couple of places. And right now, see, so what that tells me is that when the Bitcoin goes way up, which it's about to do, the Litecoin goes way up. And the way I see it is, like, if let's say that the Bitcoin goes up to 65,000 or 70,000, then the Litecoin is going to go up way more percentage-wise. Not just because it's a lower price thing, but because it's going to look like a better and better investment to people, because it's kind of, like I said, it's one of these cryptos that is kind of established, and people are going to look at it like, oh, that's a good buy. I can get into the crypto market by buying these, right? Which you can, but what I'm saying is, let's say that the Bitcoin goes up to 75,000, right? That's about 25% increase, 30% increase from where it's at now. Right now it's 58, something like that. If it goes up to 70, then that's like, again, a 25-30% increase. But if it goes up to 70 or 75, the Litecoin is going to go up like to 7, 8, maybe $1,000. Because again, it's going to look like a really good buy to people, and the Bitcoin is going to look like, whoa, it's so expensive, it's got to come down, or whatever. But it's so much easier, since the Litecoin looks like a buy, and it's so much less priced. It's much easier for it to double, triple, quadruple in value than the Bitcoin, which the Bitcoin will have to hit like 115,000 right now in order to double in price. And I'm not saying that it won't do that, but my bet is that the Litecoin would hit $1,000 way before the Bitcoin hits $100,000, and if the Litecoin hits $1,000 right now, you make 5 times your money. So I think the Litecoin is a good investment, although Jackie Cat seems to think it's overpriced. Anyways, it's fascinating to me. I have like a brain for numbers, and I've never really been interested in the stock market too much. My dad used to talk about stock market all the time. I've never been too interested in the stock market. It seems very corrupt. But just in the last little bit, I've been really interested watching the crypto market. There's a whole bunch of new stuff, and and my brain works a lot in numbers, and I have like this crypto page that you guys have seen up on the green screen before, that has all the charts and all the numbers and all the trading volume like on one page. And I think a big part of the crypto is the trading volume. That's a big part of what you want to watch. Again, that's why the Tron, again, has been, right now it's number 5 most traded, but it stayed in the top 20 for the last 3 or 4 months, and spent an awful lot of time there in the top 10. So, and it's double, right now it's more than double when I told you 3 weeks ago, the price, but on Monday it was more than triple. So, but I still don't think it's too late to get into the Tron. Not that I'm trying to give anybody any advice here now, because I'm just an aging liberal hippie douchebag stoner, and nobody wants to take advice from some hippie stoner about their finances, right? Even though it would have tripled your money in 3 weeks. No, don't listen to the hippie stoner. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. All right, so why you like Trons, huh? Because of the movie? You just like the name, don't you? Nope. I already explained this to you. And there's other reasons, too. Okay, so the newspaper. Okay, so there's a newspaper guy, a man who's delivering papers in a white neighborhood, and the sheriff calls the police on him, a black man delivering papers in a white neighborhood, at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever time. It's dark outside, whatever time newspaper people deliver their newspapers. And he's delivering his newspapers, and the sheriff calls the police and says, there's a black man in my neighborhood and he just threatened my life, right? And this is how, right, 7 cop cars respond, okay? And this is how people die, right? This sheriff says, this black man just threatened my life. And, you know, and 7 cop cars show up in my white neighborhood. What?
Michael.
Don't even bullshit me, dude. I am not in the mood for your bullshit.
Michael. This is Drunk Pete, Michael.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to call back and tell you that I love you, that I apologize, and I made a nice, tasty, fruity beverage for you tonight, and I got your picture on it. I just wanted to call and let you know how much I love you. Sing you a little song I wrote for you. Can I sing that for you and the audience?
Uh-huh.
Michael, I love you so freaking much that I made a tasty fruity beverage drink and put your picture on it, girl. Yeah, I put a little dress on. I'm gonna have this little drink, yeah. This is Drunk Pete from Olympia, girl. Michael, I'm embarrassed now. I gotta go. This is Drunk Pete.
Drunk Pete's from Rhode Island.
No, I'm hanging out with Chris from Olympia.
Oh, okay.
So just love you guys. Bye.
Drunk Pete doesn't sound that gay. Not that I have any problem with people sounding gay. I've been accused of that many, many times in my life. All right, so I have this video about, again, a black newspaper man delivering newspapers in a white neighborhood. The sheriff calls the police, says he's threatening my life, right? 7 cop cars show up, right? This is how people get killed by police. This is one of the ways. And you have to ask yourself, is that what the sheriff was trying to make happen? Was somehow had a grudge on his shoulder about this black newspaper man. Can you imagine how hard, what kind of work it is to be a newspaper man? I think to make any kind of money, you have to really, really, really bust ass on that job. So, you know, this is pretty fucked up. And again, I think we deserve better police than this, right? Because I think this guy called. He had some problem with this newspaper guy. I think he called in hopes that this newspaper guy would get shot and killed by police. That's what otherwise, why would he say he threatened my life, right? But he did that in order to make sure that they know that he's a hostile person. You know, so they better come ready. You get what I'm saying? This is a very important story, and I hope that we're able to stay on it for as long as it exists.
We'll figure
I
everything.
am working.
Okay.
I'm a black male in a white neighborhood, and I'm working.
That has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it
okay?
does.
No.
He's following me.
Okay.
Newly released body cam video shows one side of the story from the night the Pierce County Sheriff called for backup over a man who turned out to be a black newspaper carrier in his neighborhood. The sheriff reported the man threatened his life. You can see and hear that man here. We have blurred out his face since we've been unable to reach him for comment.
We also hear the carrier's repeated claims that the sheriff was lying when he said threats were made. KOMO's Joel Moreno live tonight to break down the new details in this video. Joel?
Yeah, in this video, Preston Michelle, we get to hear the newspaper carrier's version of events, but what's missing is the sheriff's. Apparently, the officer who interviewed the sheriff forgot his body camera at the station in his rush to respond to the scene.
No, I don't need nothing to be explained to me. I'm being followed. Okay. He called the cops. Congratulations.
Yes.
I'm coming to and from a house. Ooh, he's committing a crime. He's black.
No one's
He's
saying
black.
Okay.
He's black.
The tension is clear the moment officers first arrived. A newspaper carrier told him he confronted a man who was following him while he ran his route. Turns out it was Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer, who told dispatchers he was threatened.
Radio. Hey, it's Troyer. I caught some in my driveway who just threatened to kill me.
As police tried to sort out the stories, the newspaper carrier insisted the sheriff was making false accusations.
Nobody made no threats.
Okay.
That's a lie. If I made a threat, I'll tell you, but I didn't. I didn't even go to him angry. I just wanted to know why he was following me.
Although Troyer only asked for 1 or 2 patrol cars to respond, dispatch sent it out as a priority call. And initially, a half-dozen patrol units arrived. The newspaper carrier suggested several times that he was being targeted because he's black.
I walked up to his car because he came around the block again for the 3rd time. I approached him. Why are you following me? Because I'm a black male in a white neighborhood?
The sheriff wouldn't comment for this story, but has previously said he couldn't even see who was behind the wheel until the man got out of the car. No arrests were made that night. The Pierce County Council is moving forward with an independent investigation of this incident, and they have tentatively selected Brian Moran, the former U.S. Attorney of Western Washington, to lead that effort. Back to you.
New tonight.
I'm working. I'm over here every night. I see you guys every night. Nobody messes with me.
We have new video tonight showing some of what happened after Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer called the police on a black newspaper carrier in January. There are calls now for Troyer to resign or to be removed from office over his conduct that night. King 5's Ted Land joining us live from Tacoma with more on this. Ted?
Well, Joyce, Troyer said the man threatened to kill him, but in the video clips, there's no sign the man was a danger. We're getting a much closer look at what happened that night because of more than an hour of body camera video. Body cam clips released by the Tacoma Police Department show several officers responding to a January call involving Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer, who dialed 911 dispatchers saying a black newspaper carrier threatened to kill him.
Hey, keep your hands where we can see him. Hands on the steering wheel.
Is that what you're coming over here for?
Yeah, that's why we're coming over here, okay?
I'm suspicious, huh?
No, because he called saying that...
I don't care what he calls for. He's following me.
Okay, we'll figure everything out.
Talk to him. I don't need you to figure out nothing. I am working.
We will figure everything out.
I am working.
Okay.
I'm a black male in a white neighborhood, and I'm working.
That has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it does.
No.
He's following me.
The videos show that within minutes, police determined the carrier, Cedric Altheimer, was not a threat.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. The reason there's so many cops here is because he's the sheriff.
At one point, a neighbor remarked on how many police showed up.
It's a lot of response.
Yeah, I know.
The videos do not clearly show Troyer, and he's not heard in any of the clips released Monday.
So, what this looks like is a big case of misunderstanding, okay?
After several minutes of questioning, Tacoma police let Altheimer go so he could finish his route.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too. All right, take it easy. Thanks, man.
Not every police officer who responded that night had a body camera on them, and the police department says that's because they had just started their body camera program earlier that month. Now, the Pierce County Council has requested an investigation into this case, and Sheriff Troyer has said he will cooperate. Live in Tacoma, Ted Land, King 5 News.
Now to body camera video from Tacoma Police. It captures the major response after Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer called 911 on a black newspaper delivery driver. KIRO 7's Dee Sun looked through these videos that will also be reviewed by an independent investigator.
A massive police response at the end of January to Pierce County Sheriff Ed Troyer's home after he called 911.
I gave you the plate number.
Yeah.
Black man. I tried to be polite to him, and he just says I'm a racist and wants to kill me. So.
You want to keep this as a priority zero, officer needs help.
More than 40 officers raced to the scene.
Hey, keep your hands where we can see them. Hands on the steering wheel.
I am working.
We will figure
I
everything.
am working.
Okay.
I'm a black male in a white neighborhood, and I'm working.
That has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it
okay?
does.
No.
He's following me.
Tacoma police found Cedric Altheimer in the middle of his shift delivering newspapers.
I'm doing my paper route.
Okay, I understand that. I see all the papers in your car.
Yeah,
okay?
congratulations.
He just called saying that someone threatened his life.
That's a lie. Now, what happens
That's
to
what
him?
we're here to figure
He's
out.
lying.
That's what we're here
He's
to figure
lying.
out, okay?
So what happens to him?
Was there any
What happens to a liar?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. The reason there's so many cops here is because he's the sheriff. Who said that he got...
I know who he is. I know exactly who he is.
Did you guys have any verbal altercation?
He's following me.
Okay.
I walked up to his car because he came around the block again for the third time. I approached him. Why are you following me?
Okay.
Because I'm a black male in a white neighborhood?
Just 5 minutes after officers arrived, Tacoma police tell Cedric,
What this looks like is a big case of misunderstanding.
Pierce County Council voted unanimously to approve hiring an outside investigator to review Sheriff Troyer's conduct.
The idea here would be that he would look into any misuse of authority, any violations of policy.
Pierce County Council says the investigation will also look for potential biases or prejudices.
Our biggest concern is that we maintain public trust in our law enforcement.
Didi Sun, Cairo 7 News.
What we did not see from those videos are any interactions with the sheriff. The sheriff says he plans to fully cooperate. The county council says they're negotiating with former U.S. Attorney Brian Moran on a contract.
So that Ed Troyer guy, Sheriff Ed Troyer, I don't know if you guys remember, some of you might. I mean, it's really hard to hang on to little details. I'm surprised I remember. But about 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I made a video with this guy, Ed Troyer, and he was talking as if he's the expert on whatever subject it is that he's talking about, protesters or some other thing, where he was just being a complete and utter dickhole. And it says, it says Ed Troyer, and then it says like, it might have said sheriff, and then it had like some abbreviation after it, like, and I changed the abbreviation to say cunt, C.U.N.T. And I remember the comments were like, what what does that say? Because it looked like it was, just blended in with the way that everything else was. And not everybody caught it, for sure. But that's who that guy is for, 4 or 5, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. That's who that guy is. And even more so now, because you see the response again. There's just an overwhelming response of cop cars everywhere, right? And again, this is a black man who you could see some of those cops were ready. They were ready, man. I'm ready. I can draw this fucking gun really fucking fast. I'm fucking ready to do it. Which is really sad. Because, like I said, it must be incredibly hard work to be a newspaper delivery person. And to get hassled like that. Again, this is a setup situation where I don't know what that fucking piece of shit Ed Troyer's thinking, but it seems like he's hoping that this guy gets murdered by police. He just threatened my life. You know what that does? He just threatened a cop's life. You know what that does to the other cops? Rabid mode, man. Foaming at the mouth. Let's take care of this shit right now. You know what I'm saying, baby? All right, I got one more video for you, and then we are out of here. So this is going to be your last chance to call if anybody wants to call. Otherwise, I'll be back in a sec.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
Okay, everybody, that was my last video. I came here to play videos and topical videos, take fat dabs, and try and talk with you guys on the phone so that we can start a conversation about all these topical things that are happening. So I'm out of videos. I have no phone callers, and I've done about enough fat dabs until I get a little food, and I'm very hungry at the moment. So we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel, and I hope you tune in because it's always better when you're here. Please never forget that. So until then, stay cool, because one of these days this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other.